Good morning.
Guess if I have that off, it's better. Good morning.
Good morning.
Hey, hey. All right. How was Thanksgiving? It finally feels so far away, even though it was just a week ago. But
Yeah, I was in San Diego visiting my daughter.
oh, nice. Was the traffic too bad to make it there and back, or not really too bad?
No, it wasn't too bad.
Okay.
Of course, I went in the middle of the day.
We had people who came in from LA, and usually they're stuck in traffic, and they said that traffic was really light. So, all right. So I have until some more people show up. Every time that we have a class with a break like this, a once a week class, when there's a day that there's no class, a lot of people forget to come back. But I sent an email today, so I hope everyone comes back. That said, I am not feeling very well, in case you can tell the energy. I had my booster shot yesterday, not to scare anyone away from a booster shot, but I ran a fever all night, and I don't have a fever right now, but I have a splitting headache. So I hope I can make it through the whole class. And we'll see. I always do. I always rally. But, as long as fever doesn't come back, which usually it takes only one day to get over this stuff. So we should be fine, I hope. So I'm kind of seeing if someone else shows up. Make sure to go to the chat and say hi. But no one seems to be coming. So here's some more people. All right. So did anyone spend any time at all with any of these programs over the last 2 weeks doing something or another? Nope.
Well, I did Photoshop processing, but it wasn't for the class.
Yeah. Nothing. With Illustrator. Yeah. Dorothy.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning.
I didn't see a recording for the last class that we had,
Did I not
the
put it
one
up?
before Thanksgiving.
Well, I see it right there.
What's the date of it?
It was there.
11/1. Let me share my screen.
11/1, yes, but how about 11/8?
Oh,
11/15?
no, sorry, 11/18, not 11/1. There it says 11/1, you're right, but 11/12 plus 7 would be 11/18. There you go.
Yeah, okay. I didn't
I
check
just
that one. Yeah,
I just
I had-
erased.
I left at noon because we had a power outage. It shut
Oh,
off right at 12 o'clock.
yeah. Well, that was a typo, but yeah, they usually are sequential. And
Okay,
then that was the last class before Thanksgiving.
so I didn't watch it.
Okay, well, that's fine. You have time to do it now. Okay, so hi everyone. Hi Joyce. Hi Sabine. Okay, so here's the files that I gave you guys to download. So I'm gonna double click here. And I don't remember if I made you download some new stuff last week or not. I think I did not have you download this folder, probably not. I think you guys only have this stuff, right? I believe. Because I know I put this in there last week, but I don't remember using any InDesign, which what that is. We were in Illustrator doing the logo, right? So we had modified the word. We had learned how to modify words. Remember that we had took some text and turned it into outlines. and then began to modify it with Illustrator tools. Y'all remember that at all? Perchance?
Yes, I remember.
Okay. So here we go. If you guys can open Illustrator again, we're going to complete. You can open the same file that we had, and then from there we're going to extract. So, oh, I'm not sharing. Here we go. There we go. We're going to share. This is kind of where we were at, and we did a little bit of, everyone did a bit different things on their words. Okay, tell me when, give me a little thumbs up or something when you have your file open. All right, so is it open? You guys got it? Okay, raised your hand. Is that your yes, I got it, John, or is that a question? Just to be clear.
That's got it. I have it open.
That's that you have it open. Okay, everyone give me some indications if your files are open and ready to go.
I'm still open DPI. It's sort of hard. Open it.
Oof. So
I don't see that file. Oh, maybe I didn't click through.
it's the same file that we were working with. If you left early, maybe you had it when we were doing shapes and modifying shapes. Maybe you didn't do if you left early the class, maybe you didn't do the text.
Okay, I'm opening the SK newsletter, or which other file?
No. This is a file that we created in class.
Okay,
Where we made the stars and the shapes. If you would be wherever you saved if you open Illustrator, you can go to recents and find the last one you like. If you go to Illustrator, open recent files, you should see, if you called it shapes, that should be the one that we. No?
nope, all I have is the top masked.
The mask top, that's Photoshop, but we're in Illustrator now.
I thought that's what I was in.
Well, I
That's
mean,
what I'm in
the
here.
top is a Photoshop file. So I'm assuming that in Photoshop, if what you have is a top as in recents.
Okay, well, no,
I didn't usually I update with the latest file. Let me see if I can this one for you.
yeah, what's the name of it?
And hold on, I'll go ahead and put it in, this one's called shapes. I'll put it in our,
No, I didn't get that.
you know what, maybe I can just email it to you. Does anyone else not have it? Because if it's here, I'll throw it in there. It's called shapes. I threw it in our folder, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to email it to you if it's only you, Dorothy. That way you don't have to go all the way in. So let me send you an email right now.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Everyone else okay? You have it? Because I'm about to send it to Dorothy. I can send it to anyone else who doesn't have that file. I have I have Gmail or Silcom. Which one are you using?
Gmail,
Gmail. Okay,
either one. They all come to
that's fine. Okay.
the Gmail anyway.
And no one else needs it? Okay, then here goes. I'm sending it. All right. Okay. So minimize that. And whenever you get it, just open it up down download it from the email, and you'll have this exact same thing I have, which ended up a little bit different for everyone. And then I told you guys to play around with it as homework, but you know, Thanksgiving and whatnot, I'm not sure that anyone did much. So did you get it, Dorothy?
Hasn't come
Okay.
yet. I keep refreshing.
All right, well, it'll get there in a second. I'll keep going. It'll show up at some point.
Yep.
All right. So for Isabel and Joyce, you weren't, or Anna, you guys weren't here when I was saying that I'm not feeling very good today because I had a fever all night because I had got a booster shot yesterday. So sorry for my very low energy. I'll do my best to keep going here, but I can tell I'm very it's okay. Actually, I should take some ibuprofen or something like that. Anyway, so here we go. Up the top one, from what you guys remember, is this text or shape, this that I'm selecting right now. I'm going to make it bigger. Is this text or shape?
Shape.
Well, given that there's only two choices, and I said I gave a face with shape, let's assume it's text, yes. And the top one has this line down here that shows me it's text version, and I can't right now get a hold of each individual font letter, but these here are shapes. We've turned the text into outline. There's no line. That's like the big giveaway. There's no line at the baseline of the text versus here there's a line at the baseline of the text. There's so many other things that you can consider. The thing is that at the very last minute last week, I showed you guys this tool that allows you to change the position of letters even when it's text. Now, if I put up the type tool, none of these are editable anymore. This is top toys. There's no way to change it to top. But here I had showed you how I could still edit this one from tip to top or something like that. And that's why this one is still text and these are not. Okay. So do you remember I did anyone else do this little moving around of letters? To do that, those of you who are here, we've been playing with the essentials tools only, but I had you guys move down to Essentials Classic because then when you go to the type tool, there's this touch type tool, and that's the one that you can use even when it's type and still play around with fonts. You can do stuff to them, not too much stuff to them. You can move them, you can change it, you can make them bigger, and you can, you know, kind of scale them around. It's not like you can do a ton of stuff to them, but still it's something. You know, so that's why this kind of is still text versus that one. And that's a tool that you only find if you have the Essentials Classic, where you get all of the type tools available to you, right? So every one of them. You might have not seen that, Dorothy, if you left early, because that was the very last thing I showed you. Okay.
I didn't see that at all. Yeah.
All right. So the most important thing to me isn't so much that that's really useful and cute, but it's still font. I want to go back to the one or two that we have down here that we had distorted. And let's choose one, make a copy, and let's bring it to another page. So we already have this turn into outline, copy one of them, okay? And you can copy with Command copy or Control copy, or if you're an Illustrator or Photoshop or InDesign, any of these, you can just hold down your Control and Option key and drag, and then you get, sorry, Command and Option. Well, Control Option for PC, Command Option for Macs, and then you get a copy come out. So you're welcome to do whichever way you do it to put this in the second and third page. Now, by the way, I have a third page here, but I'm not sure if you guys had not page artboard. Not sure if you guys started with 3 artboards, so if you didn't, let me know and I'll remind you how to make another one. I'm assuming since I have a 3rd one that I showed everyone how to get that 3rd one. Do y'all have a 3rd
Yes, you did. You chose
artboard?
3.
Okay. All right. So, let me know if you didn't do this, like you didn't get a copy over here. So if you remember the, let me share with you guys my other window as well. So I'm going to share it with you, Photoshop. All right, so here's my Photoshop window. And I don't know if you guys remember, but we have, we've changed colors a few times and things a few times, but we had some space over here to the left. And I didn't open up InDesign yet. So I'm gonna open up my InDesign because we had dropped the InDesign. We had dropped the top into our InDesign file. And while it's opening up, we had changed its shape. So now we're opening. Oh, I need to share with you guys that one too. Now I'm sharing with you guys the, okay, so I have all 3 shared with you guys. So here's my Illustrator, here's my Photoshop, and here's my InDesign. Okay, so I'm kind of putting them all together, which is a bit messy for you guys, but here's my InDesign where we had 2 different pages and we were trying to bring the file in different sizes. So go ahead and if you can handle opening all 3. If not, what we can do is we can close Photoshop because we're not going to work with Photoshop right now. So say your computer's groaning, just close Photoshop and just open InDesign and Illustrator. Okay. And then when we get all 3 open, give me a yes on the computer that you have everything ready to go. Okay. And again, if you don't have one of these files, you missed a day or something like that, I can email it to you right now. Okay, I'm seeing Joyce has it open. Anyone else has all 3 open? InDesign and
I do.
Photoshop. As I said, Photoshop can kind of not open up. It's fine. If you can only do 2, then open Illustrator and InDesign. Isabel, you're saying no? What can I help you with?
No, yet. No, yet. I'm still.
Oh, it's opening up. Yeah, the computer's slow, but that's fine. Okay, so while you guys are working on opening it up, let me just remind you a little bit what happened here in InDesign. As far as we left this file, we had an example of putting the whole file in inside of my pages. I apologize, I really am not in the best space, or putting a portion of the file inside the page to decide to create our little card. And when we select with the blue, with the black selection key, we are able to move my frame. I don't know if you remember that. So I'm moving my frame, but see how the top is not changing. So I'm just moving my frame around. Okay, by the way, I should have, this is the W gives me all of my bleeds or the presentation mode. Okay, I'm hitting the W key to get everything or just the presentation mode. Presentation mode means I see only what's going to be printed, and that's the W. I'm repeatedly going W, and I go from this mode to this mode, W. Okay, just as a reminder. So I'm in InDesign. If I hit W, what I'm seeing here is the bleed line, the margin line, and the cut line. Okay, but when I do presentation mode, I only see the trim or cut line, the place that what we're going to see as the final product. Okay, so anyway, the difference between these two is that my image here is smaller than the card. Okay, And then in this one, on the other hand, the image is bigger than the card. All right, so someone's coming in, hold on. All right, so let's go ahead and I'm gonna choose to use this one here. Good morning, Gustavo. So just so you know what's happening, if your computer can handle, oh, by the way, Gustavo just installed the whole suite. It's all new to him. Yesterday I helped him install Creative Cloud on your computer, so you're finally out of VDI. So we have opened Photoshop. If your computer can handle having them all open. If not, you can leave Photoshop closed. InDesign and Illustrator. Okay, so we have all three here with the work that we were doing. I think maybe for everyone, it's better to close Photoshop because, I mean, if you're fine and everything is fine, leave Photoshop open, but it does kind of make your system, strains your system to have everything open. So if you're having any kind of issues, please close it. Okay, so now I was back in InDesign. Kind of 2 weeks of no class means that we forget a lot. Plus we hadn't done InDesign last week. So that's like 3 weeks. It's like forever since we did InDesign, right? Because we did all Illustrator last time we met. So I'm just reminding you a little bit what this was and how if you hit W, you see only the final presentation mode. And if you if you hit the W again, so it's just a repeated W, then you see all of the different lines that are a card. And on the second page, and I'm scrolling up and down on the second page, I had this version, and that's the one that I'm going to use. Okay, so, and this one, if you guys remember, I had told you that you could make it as big or as small as you wanted. Does everyone have a second page that has a different version, or in a first page that has a different version? We had one and two. I mean, as long as you took the classes or did the work with the recording, you should have, but just to make sure someone doesn't have it. Okay, so we're going to use this little guy here, and we're going to put some text in InDesign, and we're also going to bring in a logo from Illustrator. So let's complete the logo from Illustrator. So let's head over to Illustrator again. And if you consider the art that we have, I would think that of course you don't normally design a logo based on the art for a business card. You would have the logo done already, right? But since this is the art that we have, when we do our logo, it probably is better if top and toys are maybe more one on top of the other as opposed to stretched out like this. We have an image here that is movable as if it were one thing, but really these are 7 different elements. The thing is that they are now grouped. If I click on them, oops, oh, that's Dorothy coming in with your other computer. Okay. Whoops, you need to take the sound. Yeah, there you go. All right, so what does this mean? That these right now are 7 elements that are independent, but they're grouped. So things move around as if they were grouped. But there's 2 things I can do to this. I can ungroup them, and that's something that I had begun to show you last week or 2 weeks ago now. Or if you ungroup them, then you might start to mess up with the correct spacings in between letters. And sometimes you might, many times the O's and the T's and things like that don't do well. But there's another way to get inside of a group that's not ungrouping them. Okay, let me just go back to what ungrouping means. If I were to go up to, here we go. If I were to go up to object, it's with the selected, I go to object ungroup. That's as easy it takes. And right now I click away and I go back, and now each one of these is a distinct element. See, if I move one, it moves on its own. And so you might lose, so to say, continuity if you do this a lot, but it's useful for when you're, modifying or altering whatever it is that you're trying to do. So that could be your logo right there. But let me back up and go back to what I had at the beginning. Another way, let's select them all again. And how to select them all again? Remember that if you select one element by clicking and dragging, even as you touch a little bit of it, you select it. So if I were to just do this little teensy bit like that, I'm already selecting all 3 letters, just a teensy bit of each one. Okay. If I do like that, I'm missing the first T. But if I do like that and touch that little T even a little bit, I've got all 3. So yeah, to select all these 3, all you need to, all these letters, just a little line like that selects them all. Or you might want to go from the top and select everything if you're sure. And let's group them again in case you followed through with me and ungroup them. Let's go ahead and group them again, Control or Command G, because I want to show you a better way. I like being able to move this as a unit, but when you move them as a unit, if you try to give them a color, so I'm going to go over here to the fill and give it a color, the whole thing gets colored as a unit. And I don't really want every single one of my letters to be colored the same. I want to give it different colors. So how do you handle that? You can go into this thing called isolation mode, which means you can work individually with each part of your group by double clicking on the object. So I'm going to double click on the T. And right now I've entered this mode called isolation mode. I double click again. And finally I have my T isolated from the rest. See how my T is still bright purple and the rest kind of went a little bit lavenderish, like it went into this mode where the only one that matters is this one. And now I can go in and change the color of just this one. And let me give it a totally different color. So it's obvious that I've changed it. Totally different would be kind of green. Okay. Then I can click on the next one and double click and then double click again and double click again. So you basically double click until everything else goes desaturated. And then you have one left, and then that's the one that you select and you change the color of that one. Okay. And then you double click and you double click and you double click and you double click, boom, until it's on its own. Okay. And then you change again the color of that one. Now, the thing is that, remember I had shown you guys layers. Here are the layers. And look at the difference. I'm going to leave this mode. Let me just finish giving this one a different color so that everything has a different color. Okay, and now I'm going to hit, to get out of this isolation mode, hit escape. When I hit escape, now I'm out of isolation mode and everything acts again as if it were one thing. I'm not going to spend that much more time in Illustrator. As I said, we have full-on Illustrator classes, full-on Photoshop classes. What we don't have is full-on InDesign classes. So I'm going to spend a bit more time now with us in InDesign. But here in my layers, and this little icon here was my layers. And if you don't see it, then go up to Window and look for the word layers to make it pop up. Okay, so under Window, Layers, that makes this little icon pop up. And and let's go back to, I left you guys in Essentials Classic. I think we should go back to Essentials because we've been playing with Essentials only up until now. I forgot, you guys don't have that choice there. In Essentials Classic, you have these choices here, but we've been working with only Essentials. I forgot about that. So layers we had up here in Essentials. So if you guys went to Essentials Classic to use the True Type tool, the rest of the time we had been working in Essentials Classic. And unfortunately, Essentials and Essentials Classic really changes the features a lot. So let's just all be in the same one. Okay, this is where I had taken just so that we could get that type tool. Okay, the touch type tool. But since we hadn't been using this mode, it might be confusing to you guys as if we were in a totally different program. So let's head back to Essentials. And then the layers we had in here. All right, and so remember that we have what we did the first, let me go back, the first day, the first set of things that we did, we made shapes of different kinds, and then we superimposed one over the other. We did it on a different file where we put things on top of each other, right? And then we discovered that, oh, this is underneath that, and the only way to move it up, right, is to go here into the layers and drag this one so that it's a bit higher, right? And so, or this one, bottom one, to go a bit higher. So we're moving these layers for things to appear. Remember that? We're just the order, the stacking of the layers matters. So take it here where I have those two stars. If I want the orange to be behind the pink one, I'd have to go over here and move the orange so that it's lower. And there we go. Now the orange is behind the pink one. Okay, just a quick reminder of that. All right. Notice then that up at the top, I have these three things called groups. This one here is the text. It's not a group, it's just the text. And these little eyeballs here allow me to see it. And there you go. If I ever want to test it, yeah, that's the text. And remember that from here, this little icon, click there, you can select it, right? So then what are the rest of these groups? These are, if I select here, you can see that it's that second top toys, and this one is this one over there, and this one is this one. So you're using these little guys to select what it is, or I can go over here and select them and you see the selection. So these groups were made for us when we created an outline from the top toys and turned them into groups. And each letter now is its own individual stack. Okay, so let me go back up here to top toys, to the one that we have on this page, which is this one here. I'm going to open it up, and that's my set of letters. And see how my T for top is kind of underneath the O. Well, if I want that to shift or alter, and if you don't have one of these, go ahead and select your text, double click, double click, and double click. And once you're there, go ahead and put one on top of the other. Okay, and then give it a different color. So we go back to properties, give it a different color so that you can really see which one is on top of the other, and then hit escape. Now we have one on top of the other, just like the top toy. So of course, so we're going back from properties to layers. Okay, properties for the color selection and layers. And you're wondering what order this is in. It's in the order in which was written. It was written TOP, TOYS. And so over here, if you go backwards, TOP, this says top toys backwards. So the last one is the S. And so everything that's ahead is going to be below. So say that I wanted this T now to be on top of top toys. I would have to go over here, find this blue T and move it up so that now my T is on top. See that? But if I try to move them right now, it all moves at the same time. So remember, double click, double click, double click, and then I can move it in again a bit more if that's what I wanted to do. And double click, double click, double click. And then I'm going to move this over that one. Double click, double click, double click. So let's say that we're just, this is what we're doing right now with our logo. We're just putting all these things on top of it. Whoop, double click, double click, double click. And we're just kind of connecting them. Okay. So move them around in here until you feel like you have it, what you want. Now you can also select more of them in this mode. So we're already in, first you have to enter isolation mode. So to get out of the isolation mode, you hit the escape. To enter, you double click. Once you're in that isolation mode, you can click and select more of them with a shift and then move a whole bunch of them together. Okay, so maybe you can bring some down here to make this be a different position. So if it's too complicated to work within this isolation mode, you can just ungroup them all to move them all together. But now if I move them ungrouped, I'm moving it out as one piece. Yet if I double click, double click, double click, I can go, I'd rather this T be over here. or I'd rather be over there, or I'd rather it be here. Okay, so again, how you move individual bits and pieces is by once you're inside of this isolation mode, remember to get out of it, you hit escape and then you double click, and that's when you can start moving things. Or you can grab them over here. You can say, I just want to grab the O. So here I grabbed only the O, and then I can just move only the O. So that might be a little bit easier for you. Okay, so I just went over here and I'm going to grab only the Y. And so I'm doing it by going to this little round dot next to my layer, and I'm selecting here and then only the Y. So without double clicking, I can do this. And then I'm going to grab only the S. So either double click your way in or select them in the layers individually to move them. Okay. All right. So now let's ask me questions, do whatever you need, but let's go ahead and now, after we've figured or shown you how to move different things in different ways, now let's go ahead and make this look a little bit like a logo. And I'm gonna stop talking and listen to you guys. I'm gonna change colors now and stuff like that. But any questions? Anyone for whom this is or isn't working?
Yes, can you go over again how I make a copy of a
Mhm.
object?
Yeah. So the most typical way is, select something, copy paste, which you can do with Control Copy, Control or Command V, or you can, so that shortcut that's available. So you're on a Mac, right?
I'm on
So-
a Mac, but when
okay.
I press the Command key,
Uh-huh.
the object comes into the, what do you call it, the hollow mode?
Oh, okay, the outline mode.
Yeah,
Yeah. When you press the Command key, you get outline mode. How
yeah,
interesting.
everything comes apart and it won't move.
Well, what you need to do is with your select, just make sure that you're in the black selection tool, and you select the text and then hold down the Command and tap the C for copying something. Or you can also hold down Option and Command at the same time and then click and drag your second choice. Do you want to share your screen and I give you a hand and see what's happening? Because that outline mode shouldn't be coming up with the command. I've stopped my share. If you want to give yours a try here. Guys, give me 1 second. I'm going to all right. So you're trying to make a copy of this. Show me what you mean by hitting the C and getting the outline. When you touch the command. Oh, okay, that's not outline per se. That's just the, yeah, I see what you mean by outline. Yeah, there's something called outline mode, which is different, where everything turns into just the paths. I thought that's what you were talking about. So if you hold down the command and then tap the C, just keep holding the command and tap the C. Can you do that? Now click away from this one, click somewhere out. Yeah, a little bit down at the bottom so that the copy doesn't show up in the same place. So put your mouse underneath. And now, so click your mouse so that it's completely, and now hold the command again and tap the V. The V. There it is. So you got another one. Okay, now you have to grab it and drag it into a better place if you have your third page. And you'll see why I'm asking you to do this on a third artboard. Do you have another artboard, John? Go ahead and do a command minus, tap the minus a few times just to see if you have the third artboard, and then you can just drag it easily. So hold down the command key before you select anything. Yeah, just hold down the command key and then tap minus. Okay, so now grab that one just with your black selection tool and don't be touching the command anymore because you just want to move it. So grab it, click on, just click on any part. Yeah, and now drag it over to the other page. Perfect. And now you can zoom in again with the command plus, plus, plus. Now, here's what's going to happen. The reason I'm having you put it in a separate page is that when you have multiple artboards like this, what we want to be able to do is we want to export just one of them for the logo. We have other stuff on the same file, but only one of them is going to be our logo, the one that's on the third page. And you need to have it isolated. You can't have many things on a page and isolate just one object as a logo. You can isolate a whole artboard as a logo. And that's why I'm asking you guys to have this one that you're considering your logo separately. All right. So now if you want to go check out your, oh, you're in the classic mode. So can you go up to your workspaces and move back in far right? Complete far right, the most far right thing you see in the entire Illustrator, like all the way to the top right, that icon. Yeah, keep going to the right, keep going to the right. Yeah, that one. Click on that one and go back to essentials. We spent the whole class doing just essentials, and so I just want to, okay, so here you have your layers, okay, and these two groups that you have there, go and figure out which one is this one. And you know how, go ahead and by selecting it, click, okay, and as you can see, it's your top group, because when you go to your groups on your layers, you see that it's got a little blue box. So that's the one you just selected. So go and open up or expand the little arrow up on your layers. Go to the layers tab. Yeah, on the right side, those are your layers. Yeah. And see how you have the top group has a little blue box. That's the group that's holding your word top toys that you're working with. So you can click on that teensy little arrow next to it, the top one. Yeah, no, just the group. That's the entire layer. So the topmost element, yeah, is group. Yeah. So go over there and expand that little arrow to the left. That's what selects it. Yep, perfect. And these are all the different letters of this top toys. Okay. So if you want to change their colors, or if you want to do whatever you want to do, now what you can do is you can click away. So clicking away means go to some of that white area on your artboard, deselect that, and then go into your layers again and maybe select only the Y or the P. And how do you do that is by going to that little tiny dot, like a little donut, a circle on the right side. Yeah. There you go. Now you select them individually. If you're accustomed to Photoshop, you want to just select the layer, right? You want to click the layer. Clicking the layer does nothing. This little thing here is what the little circle on the far right is what isolates and allows you to click on each one of the objects. So now go and choose the P, for example. And go down a couple more. And yeah, there's the P. So go to that little, see, doing that does nothing, does 0. You need to go, meaning, see how the Y is still selected? Yeah, now you selected your T, which is so big that it seems as if you selected everything, but it's just because your T, the bounding box of your T does go over everything else. It's a little bit easier to see what I'm talking about. If you go select any of the other letters, go up and select the P, not from there. I know that's a Photoshop leftover. This is where it's different. Yeah. Right from there. See, there's your O, your Y, and each one is being selected individually. When you did select that big T at the bottom, that was correct. It's just that your T is so long that it kind of covered all the rest. Okay, so now if you want to move everything, and if not, if you're ready and this is your logo, that's fine. You might want to, well, let's leave it there. We're going to, I'm going to stop your share. You can, and, you know, if you want, let me just show, if you want to say that you want to, I don't know that you want to give them different colors, but say that you do, and expand again your group. Yeah. That's okay. So go back to that top group. And if you want, instead of the word group, you can double click and call it logo, right? You can call that thing that says group. It just is telling you it's a group, but you could also use that to know that this is the one that's your logo. Like you can double click on the word group and change it. So that's changeable. That's just automatically labeled that way by Illustrator, but it's not like it has to stay that way. It's just telling you it's a group. So if you were to want to change something right now, see how when you select the group, all the little boxes on the right are blue. So it's all changed. If you were to go change the colors right now, the whole thing would change to bright pink or bright yellow. So if you want different ones, you would have to click on each circle individually. And where do you change the colors? If you want to give it a color, is from properties. Okay. From the fill, you might want to give it a color, and everything is going to change at the same time. Okay. Because you have the entire group selected. Okay. Just wanted to distinguish. So you can do that and have it be the entire group that's selected, or you can either go back to layers and select individual letters, or you can double click on each individual letter to change each individual letter. Okay. I'll let you play around with that and stop your share. Anyone else who has a question, who wants to figure out how to work with theirs? Nope. Depending on what color or not you gave your top, because let me just share my screen. Okay, now I'm sharing again. All right. So back here in Photoshop, we all chose a different version. I'm not sure. This looks pretty much like the same. Yeah, it's a different color. So I gave it a different tone. Maybe I'll want this mint green to be my logo, or I'll want this deep blue or the red. So we could choose to find out the details of this color. Or we could use the libraries. For those of you at this point, most of you guys are have your own version. So how would we do that? If you have Photoshop open, if you didn't have to close it, if you have it open, I'm just back in Photoshop right now. I can choose one of these colors. So I can go to this little eyedropper, okay, or the shortcut, the letter I, and I can say, I want this exact tone of blue, or I want this tone of mint green, or I want this tone of red. And if you notice down here in colors, the foreground is changing. So now when I click on blue, see how that turned blue right there? And now if I click on red, that turned red. If I click on yellow, it turned yellow. See that little box keeps changing? Now I went mint green. So say that I would like this color, this mint green or this blue, to be what's going to be the color that I want to use in Illustrator. Notice that I could go over here and choose swatches. These are all the colors I've been clicking on. There's this, do we have, what are we in Essentials? Yeah, we're in Essentials. So we can have a series of swatches here too, just like we had in Illustrator. Or we can just go over here and click on this color box and we get the color picker. Whichever way, I could decide. So here I'm doing this, and I cancel. In Photoshop, I'm choosing a color just by clicking on it with the eye. Okay, so say I want a mint, a deep mint green. You guys have different colors, so whatever colors your thing came with. And the logo is going to come in here and is going to want to not be like your background. So if your background is, in my case, looks like my background is blue, I probably don't want a blue logo unless I want a deep blue logo. Maybe that's fine. But if not, I might want it to be a different color. I might want it to be a mint green. I don't know. I'm going to try for one of these deep mint greens there. So I'm choosing with my eyedropper tool, right? Then I can go click on the color that I got and go, yeah, that's the color that I got from here, which is fine. Maybe I want it a little bit deeper or brighter or whatever it is. So you can keep moving around until you find the right tone that you want your logo to be. So say that that's the color I want my logo to be. I can add that to the swatches. Okay, that's one way. And I'm going to call this one mint green. There's so many different ways to deal with colors. But one option is to say add that to my current library. Okay, mint green top logo, I could call it. You don't have to do this, especially I told you to, you know, close Photoshop. You can bring any color you want, but I'm just showing you because of people who have libraries to show you a little bit what that means. So I'm going to say okay to that. And then okay to that again. All right, so if I now go to my libraries tab, look at there, there's the little good old mint green that I just made.
Diana,
Yeah.
I'm sorry. When I try to use the eyedropper, I'm getting a bullseye.
Are you maybe holding down anything else? No.
Nope.
It could be that you're not on a layer that has colors. A bullseye, your eyedropper.
Yeah, bullseye.
Maybe you have it on some other version. No.
Which workspace?
The I for the shortcut is I for the eyedropper.
Yeah, I know. I got, well, I did and I didn't. It's weird.
I think he's
So
using the
when I
color
press the
sampling
I,
tool.
Do you have your caps lock turned on? There
nope,
we go. You have your cap lock turned on. That said,
Nope.
it still works. See, because even if I have a bullseye, that's because I have my cap locks turned on, that it's still working.
it's not well, it did sample. I'm sorry. Okay, we're good.
Yeah. So that's if you turn off your caps lock, it turns into a little eyedropper. If you turn it on, it turns into a little bullseye. Thank you there for the help. I'm assuming it was Joyce. All right. So as you can see, I put a little mint green there. Okay. So now I go back to my Adobe Illustrator. And if I want to color all of this, that mint green, I can go to my libraries. And I believe it would be under my library. No, your library. DigitalDesignTechniques, there we go. I just had different libraries and here it is. So I can just decide to click it and turn it into that. So once again, you don't have, this is just to show the ease of libraries, but not all of you have it. So if you don't have it, just create a color in here. Another way would be in Photoshop to take the color of that library, right? Of that color. So for those of you, you know, take down some of these numbers and say that it's RGB and write these numbers down. And then in Illustrator, create a swatch with these numbers. Anyway, so now we have, not sure that I particularly like it in that color, but let's just go for it right now. This is my logo. Let's decide this is it. How are we doing? Does everyone have a logo of one type or another that you're going to be using to bring in on this separate page? All right. I want to make sure I'm not leaving anyone behind. It doesn't need to be great. It doesn't need to be perfect. It just needs to be a modified set of words. I really liked your top toys, by the way. I didn't mention that, John, with a 1 T for both. That was really good. All right. Ready to go? All right. So now I don't have to, but I could modify this artboard to be the same size as my shape, but I don't really have to. For now, let's just go ahead and say that we're going to set this up as its own, this page as its own file. When you have multiple pages like this, It's a little bit harder later. I mean, I'm not ready to export this as a JPEG or anything like that. I want it to be live, right? So one option would be to select this, which right now we can select, do a little copy again, Command C, Command Control C. Let's make it so, let's make it its own file. So go up to File, New. And then right now, it doesn't really matter what size you're making it, but remember, because I want to show you how flexible that vector files are, let's go ahead and make it really tiny, just so that you guys can really see how flexible this is. And so I'm going to go make this one 1 inch by 1 inch. For no reason than because I'm trying to teach you something normally this wouldn't be. But let's make it only 1 by 1 inch. And what I forgot is that here we're going to want to print this. So make sure to choose the print first. I apologize. Well, sure. And then let's go to inches. And now let's go make this be 1 inch by 1 inch. Sorry, I forgot that we did want to have that. All right, so I'm going to say create. We're going to leave all of these choices to be okay. And then I'm going to say paste, because remember we had copied it. So I'm going to paste, which is Command C or Control C. And lo behold, look how big our logo was. Okay, remember that this was like 11 by 11. This was humongous. I don't know if you remember, but this page was very big. We copied it and we brought it into this little 1 by 1, right? And so unless you do Command minus, what you have is something like this, which is really ridiculous. Command minus. So I just wanted to let you know that the only place or the only reason this is important is because if I were to print this with all this extra stuff, the only things that are going to get printed are what's inside the artboard. So now the choice is to make the artboard bigger, or I can also make the art itself smaller, because remember, vector files, it doesn't really matter what size they are. They can be stretched or not. They can be, oh, Dylan's arriving. Okay. So I'm going to grab this from the corner, hold down the shift key. If I don't have to hold down the shift key, I'm going to distort it. Okay. So grab it from the corner with the shift key, and I'm going to now make it smaller to fit into my little 1 by 1. And if your proportion is very different, right? Like you had something that was long or something like that, then you might want to modify the artboard to not be, because 1 by 1 works for me because I have a square. Remember how to modify your artboard? You can go over here to this little tool that's right above the magnifying glass. And so say your version of Top Toys is a bit longer, you could modify it to be a bit longer. I'm just going to go ahead and keep it a square because I don't have, because I have a squarish kind of logo. Okay. My logo is horrible. If you don't know, it says Top Toys. The T and the O is like a B. Anyway. Hi, Dylan.
Hey.
So we basically did a little bit more work in Illustrator. So we opened up the shapes that we had before.
Right.
Grab one of the ones, modify it a little bit. I showed how to modify groups and stuff like that. And then we're bringing that, we copy and paste it and making one little file with that. Okay. So
I got mine open.
okay. Now, let me know if I lost anyone in this process. Does everyone have, give me a yes if you have a file on its own that has whatever logo you've made in an artboard on its own. Okay, Isabel gave me a thumbs up. Joyce has given me a thumbs up. How about say no if you don't have it? And obviously, Dylan, you don't have it because you're opening things up. So I'll keep moving forward until you kind of catch up and then I'll help you.
Right. Gotcha.
But how about Anne and Dorothy, Ed, Gustavo? How are you guys doing? Okay, so does anyone need help? If you're just doing it like Dorothy, that's fine. Yeah, but first let me help the people who are here who I want to make sure that they got all the steps. And then Dylan, just do your best to modify your shape. Otherwise I can send you this file and you can continue from here because I can't catch you up to a whole hour that's been missed. And
I have mine selected and I made a file new one by one, but it wouldn't copy.
you have to first, okay, you first have to create, you copy it from here, right? You copy it from here. That just stays in the copy. The copy works that it's as long as you don't copy anything else, it stays in the memory of the computer. So it just sits there. You make your one by one, you say, okay. And when you're here, you need to say paste to bring it in the new one. And if you need to share with me something, I'm welcome to do that. I'm going to go ahead and give this a save meanwhile, so that I can send it to Dylan so he can just use this one because he needs to catch up with us. So I'm going to save this. And let's call it Top Toys logo, and I'm going to give it a name just so I know it's not yours, but say save and save. And let me go ahead and email this to you, Dylan, so that you can
I actually created one on my own.
oh, okay. Since you said no, I was gonna send you one, but if you have one, then go for it. Use your own.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
One,
Then
yeah.
then I don't need to email you anything. Cool. And do you want to share your screen if you need a hand
Yeah.
or Anne?
Oh, I got it copied and it's gigantic.
Okay, yeah, so remember that when this came in, because we did only a one by one, then it turned out into something kind of like ridiculous like that. So select it, hold down the shift key, grab any corner, it doesn't matter which, and then reduce the size until it fits, but you got to keep holding the shift key and then change its size until it fits comfortably. If you touch it in any way without a shift key, then you'll distort it, okay? And like, who knows what it is. So undo, if you've distorted it, Command Z until you get it reduced in size. And if you guys need help with this, let me know.
Yeah, what are we copying it into?
A new file, we're making a new file. You
Into
did
what,
file,
Illustrator?
file new.
Into Illustrator or,
Yes, we're making a new
Design.
Illustrator file.
okay.
Okay, and I went ahead and chose print. And then just to show you something else, I had us make it a 1 by 1 inch just so that you guys could see how flexible Illustrator files are, that they look just as good if you make them big or small. I had you make a new. Okay, so print 1 by 1, and then I said create. Okay, and then you paste.
Oh my
Let
God.
me know if you need me to help you share your screen and help you through any of the steps. I want everyone to have this one, and then once you have it this place, you can save the file. So I'm going to go ahead and at least change the color to easy tad, even though it's the issue is here with the letters. So I showed later, watch this, the first part of the video, because I showed how to isolate each individual letter. I'm just talking to Dylan now. But that's better left for the Illustrator class. So I just did enough today, but now we're gonna move forward. Okay, I need now not a thumbs up that disappears. I need a big ol' yes. If you're done, give me a yes. If you're not done, give me a no, and then let me help you, handhold you so that we get to this place. So if it's a no, I need you to share your screen with me and I'll work you through until we get to this place so that we can all move forward, okay? So thumbs up disappears, so I don't want thumbs up. I need a yes, because a couple other people already were on yes, and now I need to know. So I'm gonna stop my share, and anyone who did not say yes, I will help you. So Dorothy, do you want to share your screen?
Yeah, somewhere. I have to find the Zoom again.
It's in your doc, go down to your doc.
Yeah.
There we go.
just
Yeah,
got- Choose-
I know, especially now that we have three programs open, right? So,
Okay, what am I sharing? The wrong thing.
yeah. You're sharing your Zoom, but let's go over to Illustrator. That's in design. So one to the
Yeah,
left. Yeah.
this one is, I lost it.
Okay, so go up to your shapes. That's fine. Go up to your shapes. I see that you close this file. We don't, so close this one. Go ahead and go to the, no, not Illustrator, not Illustrator. That, yeah, go up to where it says Untitled 2. Yeah, that tab that says Entitled 2 right there, and click that little X on the left of it because there's nothing there. Yeah, save changes, say don't save. Okay, and then let's go to that other Untitled 1 to see if you brought anything in there. Untitled 1 is the one tab to the right. Here you have your thing ready to go. Okay, so go back to shapes now and copy whatever you're considering your logo. Cool. So copy, Control or Command C. Okay, now go to Untitled 1 and paste. It's humongous, right? You can even see a little bit of it.
Yes,
So
and then
now,
I lost
all right.
it. I tried to shrink it.
No, it's okay. So now do Command minus.
Oh, okay.
There you go. And so now what you see is that you need to, not only in your case, shrink your logo, but you also need to change the proportion of your artboard because yours isn't kind of top and bottom like mine. So first of all, let's shrink this a little bit. So go to one of the corners and hold down your shift and then just shrink it so that it's about as tall. Make it a bit bigger. Yeah, so now grab that and put it kind of centered into your artboard, or put the word top in your artboard. You have to hold it from something that's got some fill. So go to the P or something. Yeah, to move it, yeah, you need to be touching a thing, an actual thing. Yeah, now move it so that the word top is kind of in there. Yeah, move it to the right so that the word top fits. Well, just the word top on the white.
Oh, okay.
Just something. There we go. Now I'm trying to only have to expand your artboard one way. So now move over until the T fits in. Keep going to the right a little bit. Okay, now go to your artboard tool, which on the left side of your tools, the one that's above the magnifying glass. At the bottom, keep going down. It's all the way to the bottom. Yep. And now grab that and try to make it fit your logo. Okay, there you go. Now save that file. You might want to change back to your regular block selection tool and save that file with a name. So leave the artboard tool. Yeah, there we go. Okay, now say file save, and you've got your logo. Okay, perfect. Anyone else needs a hand with those steps? Ed, you didn't say yes. Are you all done?
I did say yes.
Oh, but you must have done it twice because it's gone. When you click yes and then you click it again, it
You told me
disappears.
to type it in big things, so I put it in chat.
Oh, okay. I wasn't looking at the chat. No, I want the I look at the little big pictures of all of you guys and I see the little green check marks everywhere. And I know, Gustavo, how are you doing?
No, thank you. It's working for me. Thank you, Diana.
It's working. Okay, great.
I'm
All
in.
right. So everyone is, and Dylan already said yes. So cool. All right. So now we have that final file. It's not final. I mean, it's we can keep changing it. Okay. But that's the first file we're going to bring in. So go ahead and save. And now let's go back and I'm going to share again. my 3 windows.
Oh,
some-
wait. My
There you go.
artboard, artboard has tilted.
Tilted.
Yeah, I mean, you want to see what I mean?
Go ahead and share.
All right. This is what I meant,
Mm.
and that's my logo.
Go ahead and do undo. I like your logo. Go
Yeah.
ahead and undo a few times. Command Z, Command
Oh,
Z, Command Z.
Oh, but that's
When did it tilt? At the beginning?
just now.
Oh, okay, so then that's not, okay, so then actually go ahead and redo because that's different. You probably tilted it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so redo is Shift Command Z. Okay.
Oh yeah.
Make it a bit bigger so that it fills your butt. Yeah. And now that's I'm trying to remember how we do it in Illustrator. Shoot, what's the tool in Illustrator? So what he did here, you guys, have you ever drawn on a piece of paper or written on a piece of paper? And you know how we don't write with the paper straight, we kind of scrunch it sideways to write on paper. You know what I'm talking about? So Illustrator, Photoshop, you can do that. And that's kind of what he's done here. But I can't remember in Illustrator how to do that. The file is correct. The file is going to be sitting up straight, but this was a rotation of the board movement, and I'm going to have to do a quick.
Can't he just click out, go to the outside of the board and want to give me rotation?
No, because his board isn't rotated. That's what I'm trying to say. His board isn't rotated. It's in fact, this file, if it's not a if he brings in his logo, it won't be crooked. This isn't a rotated artboard. It's a rotated logo. This is, there we go. View, rotate, view. Thank you, Joyce.
There we go.
Go up to rotate view. So go up to view of your
View. Oh, okay. And then
and rotate view of halfway down. There it is. Rotate view and go back to 0.
there we go.
Thank you. I don't know how you got there, but there you go. Thank you, Joyce. So this wasn't a rotated art. It was just
just
a
a view.
convenient, because a lot of people like me, we use tablets with tools. And so when you're designing, you want to rotate your board to look, to work with your pen, right?
Exactly.
And that's all that is. It's not that the shape, that the logo or the artboard were crooked. So it's a little bit different. Okay, great. Thank you, Joyce. All right. I'm going to stop your share. Anyone else who needs to share for any particular reason? I'm going to clear all your feedback then, since everyone seems to be with it. And don't at this point say, oh, I didn't want to bother you, because I want to make sure everyone has a logo ready to bring into InDesign. So if it's not ready, please say, ooh, I need you to give me a hand here. All right. So we're going to share my screen again. Okay. And so let's go into InDesign. All right. So we're going to drop in here, and I had chosen the second page. And again, we can go ahead and see the whole thing or not, depending. It's, for some people, this is very confusing. So it's better to see it with a W is what gives us this mode. I'm going to go ahead and do that because I want to place the logo, and it's easier to place the logo if I can see what the final size is going to be. So let's go to place. So it's up at the top, it's file, place. Once again, I keep going file, place, but let me just show you one more time. For those of you who are actually using libraries, you could just drag this and put it in your library, right? That's something you could do. But right now, let me teach you how to place stuff. So file, place, and then go select your, like I had, the shapes is the one that had 3 pages. Okay. And then I made a Top Toys logo right there. And that's the one that's only that shape. And we're going to say, okay, and open that. And then I'm going to drop it. Now, remember that we had purposely made it really small because I wanted to show you if this were something else, Photoshop, you couldn't change it. But since this is an Illustrator file and we made it too small, we made it 1 by 1, you can expand, you can make it bigger. This is the part where in InDesign, I need to show you how to make things bigger. You can change the size and shape of this. So I'm going to go ahead and with my trying to see in this essentials mode, I have a different set of tools available and the ones I'm accustomed to showing. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to make, by the way, did everyone bring in their logo into their business card in InDesign? No. Okay, so file, InDesign, file, place, and you go find your files. So for those of you who are in, who have been doing this in BDI, which I believe is only 2 of you, then go into your drive where you saved your file. For the rest of you, go find wherever you save it. I have my class files and my documents in a folder in Digital Design Technique class files. That's where I have mine. And then I'll save it, select it. It's an AI. Okay, it's an Adobe Illustrator file. I'm bringing it straight in, straight as an Adobe Illustrator file. I'm bringing it in. I'm saying open. And then here it comes. It's in my hand. And all I need to do is drop. Now, if I were to want to right now drop it and give it the right size, I could, instead of just click drop, I could click and drag and it comes in at the size I want. I'm going to place again and select it again. And then just do a little teensy little click and drag, and believe it or not, there it came in. So when you click and drag, you immediately make it the size you want. When you just click, if all I do is click, it comes in at that 1 by 1. And you see how the artboard didn't come in? It's just, see how the box is holding right at the edges of my top toys, and my artboard was a little bit bigger. So it's just the art. So I'm assuming, and I'm going to make the assumption that you didn't bring it to the right size that you want, because I want to show you how to resize things in InDesign. But first, give me a big old yes, a digital emoji yes, no thumbs up if you don't have it. Say no if you don't have it. I'm sorry, say yes if you have it. Yes if you have it, and no if you don't have it, if you need a hand from me. If your logo did not come in. All right, so Dorothy, want to share your screen? And then we go with John. All right, so you're sharing your Zoom screen. Give me your.
Which one do I go to?
Go ahead and click on Illustrator. Wait, don't say okay, and then hold down the shift and also give me your InDesign. That way we can go from 1 to 1. So click on Illustrator. Yeah, now hold your shift key, and then right next to it, it says in. Oh,
I want that one.
no, that's Photoshop. You're InDesign, but you don't have the InDesign set up. Okay, click on InDesign. You need to, yeah, and then say okay. That way you'll share both of them right now. Go down to the bottom and say share. Okay, so
I saved one. This is not the one I saved.
this is not the
That's
business
the last one I
card.
was in. Right.
So go back. You need to find the InDesign business card. And if you don't have it, I can send it to you again. So click, turn this one off because this isn't the one we need. We need the one with the top. Maybe you don't have it. But let's see. Click
Oh.
on that and turn it off. If you don't have it, I'll send it to you.
I just close it.
Well, no, just this file, not the whole InDesign program. Just go to the business card tab. Stop. You can go to close, but I keep trying to teach you about the tab that's right
Yeah.
there. Yeah, so that just closes that one file. So click on that little X that's right there. Save changes, say don't save. And let's see, business, there it is. So that one. There you go. And now do a command minus. Let's see if it has 2 pages and let's see if you have another version or not. And scroll down a bit. Let's see if we can see your second page. Okay, you didn't bring anything to your second page. So you'll just do it on your first page, which is fine. Go up to your first page. Okay, so this one here, you're going to place your logo. So go up to File, Place. Yeah, going down, File, Place. And then let's go find the logo you just made. I don't know where you're making it and what you called it.
It was in my downloads.
Okay. Your logo is in your, there it is, Top Toys logo. Okay, and then say open. There you go. And now in your case, maybe you can, since it's longer, you know, you can put it at the bottom or I don't know, you can play around with it depending on the design. So remember to hold the shift to resize it so that it doesn't distort. You can make it smaller or bigger. Or remember, by the way, you guys, that this, yeah. Oh, you didn't yet. I didn't show you yet how to do that. I'm so sorry. See how you're hiding the toys part. I apologize. Go ahead and do a Command Z. I'm gonna show you how to resize something now with. I'm gonna show you to do what you're trying to do. Okay. So. Okay. Everyone, I'm gonna show you to her. I'm gonna show you all in her page. So see how if she grabbed the corner of this box now, what she did is she changed the frame. So basically the S of her Top Toys disappears. It's a bit hard to see because she has the other top in the middle, but if you just grab the frame, edge of your frame like that and move it to the left, then what's happening is the frame is getting smaller. Okay, stop. And the Y and the S of her logo disappears. You see that? So that's not the way to resize. So go ahead and say Command Z to undo that. Now go back to the bottom corner. First of all, you have to hold shift because you want it to stay proportional. And then it's like a piano key. And then hold down your Option and your Command key, all three. So if you're on a PC, it's your Control and your Alt key together with your Shift. So Shift, Control, Alt, or for Macs, Shift, Option, Command. And now make it smaller. You're not holding your shift, it's distorting.
Oh, shift also?
Shift as well.
All three.
Now it's fine. Yeah, all three. Okay, and now you can make it whatever size you want. And it's an Illustrator file, it's a vector file, so you can make it big, small, as long as you have all these keys protected all the time, then it's gonna work. I'm gonna stop your share because you're doing great, and let me help John. John, you wanna share your screen? So I can help you catch up. So now what you're doing is you're both working on the content and on the frame at the same time in InDesign. John, what's up? You still you have a no up there? Did you need a hand from me? Oh, you're sharing. Okay, great. Okay, so here you have your logo. Now let's go to InDesign, which I see back there. Click on InDesign. Now you can see that gray window that's there, but yeah, you can go to the logo InDesign. Perfect. Okay, so go to the, yeah, you were almost there. In the doc, you can go to InDesign that way too, whichever. Yeah. Okay. Oh, I remember you had masked yours. Okay. So now let's go to File, Place. And go to whatever you just made that. Do you know where you made it? What did you call your logo? If not, we can go back and check and save. No, it's not there. So go ahead and say cancel and let's go see where you saved it. Say cancel to this and let's go back to Illustrator. Go back to Illustrator, which if you kind of move your mouse down a little bit, there it is. Let's see where you saved it. You said logo AI. Let's go and do a save as again. And when you do a save as again, it shows you the last spot you saved in. So that's a cool way to discover where it is. So go and do a file save as. And I'm assuming you put it on your computer, so say save on your computer. We just need to replicate the steps. And looks like, oh, you put it under Creative Cloud Files, which means it's online. It's up. Wait. So where do you have the business card? Do you also have it up in your Creative Cloud Files? Or do you have it in your desktop or downloads, or do you know? Well, as long as you know where it is, it can be in your Creative Cloud Files. The thing is that you just need to know where it is. So if so, just say cancel. Yeah, just cancel. We know where it is. That's all we needed to know. So go ahead and say cancel. And let's go find it when you place it from your Creative Cloud Files. So go now back to InDesign. Oh, you're trying to place it now. Click in there. Go ahead and click on InDesign. Yep, right there. Oh, go ahead and hit escape because you're carrying it. Yeah, there we go. Now go say file place. Now we know where it is. Okay, so go say file place. And we need to go to your Creative Cloud files. So bottom choice, down. There it is, Creative Cloud. On the same place where you had gone to downloads, on the left side, on your sidebar, on your gray sidebar there, Creative Cloud. Yeah, click down. Yeah, that's where you had it saved. And there's your logo AI. So this is a place that because you own because you own Creative Cloud, they give you space on the cloud. So where that got saved was on the cloud. When you had to choose where to save your files, you by default saved it on the cloud. So this is up in the cloud. Good. So go ahead and say open. The good or the bad of that is if you're anywhere that you want to access your files, all you need to do is go to your Creative Cloud Files from any computer anywhere in the world. You can access them because they're online. On the other hand, yeah, so click and just say click. Cool. And then you can hold the corner of that and hold just one corner, not rotating it, but yeah, there. Hold down your shift and your option and your command and make it bigger. Shift and option and command all at the same time. It's three things. And then click on the corner and make it bigger. Yeah. There you go. And make it as big as you'd like. To move it, don't touch that little circle that's in there. You might want to do Command +++. It's really hard to see things when it's so tiny. If you do Command +++, you'll expand everything and you'll be able to see what you're doing better. There you go. Now go grab it. Put your mouse over. See that little circle that's in the middle? Don't touch that. No, that's the only thing you don't want to touch. But grab from the P from something that and then bring it down. Just move it, and it doesn't need to be perfect. Just drag it and move it just to test moving it. Yeah, you can move it into whatever place you want. Okay, good. So you have it in there. So I'm going to stop your share. Okay, cool. So and let me share my screen. All right. So here I have mine, and I'm going to do Command, Shift, and Option, and grab the corner and make it bigger, and make it smaller. I got it too big. Remember that we still have to put in. Usually a business card also carries some information. Now, depending on what color you chose or not, you might go, ooh, this doesn't work, or ooh, this does work, right? My goal was for us to bring in whatever you made, right? With whatever color you did in Photoshop, with whatever logo you made in Illustrator, and now analyze it and go, how does this logo I made look against this background? So some of you guys are going to be ecstatic. It works really well the first time around. And others are going to go like, what do you think about mine?
It's perfect.
Oh, come now. I don't need the teacher or the apple. Really? All right, so let's do this. I'm going to clear your feedback and I'm going to ask you guys, and it's okay, I don't get offended. Give me a yes if you think it works. Give me a no if you think it doesn't work. And then we'll talk about why. I don't teach too much design in this class. It's more like the tools, but I want to teach you a little bit about design. So yes, for people who think it works, no for people who doesn't. And everyone has to vote and I don't get offended. All right, so I'm seeing a lot of no's. A yes, Dylan said yes. Now he might be changing his mind. Dorothy, no, Anne, what do you think? Oh, Anne, are you still there? Anne had to run, so I'm not sure if she's there. Okay. So those of you who said no, I definitely agree with you guys. But does someone want to explain why it doesn't work well?
Not enough contrast.
Exactly.
It's boring. This is a toys company. There needs to be something exciting in it.
More color.
And shaped like a top.
Well, but it
Or
could be coincidental because you only shape, if you only make tops, then yes, shaped like a top. But if you're a toy company that happens to be showing a toy, you're just the top toy company. So yes, I did actually the other day, I made a logo look like a top. And then I said, yeah, but that would be restricting it to be that I'm only selling tops, which someone does in their life. Someone sits there and their life is making tops, but I wanted to have it be a little bit more open, but any interpretation of that is fine. Like the actual top. It's definitely, we're talking play, right? So, who cares if it's like the tones match, but all of that is still slightly subjective. The part that's not subjective is the lack of contrast between the letters and the background. Okay. So you can like or not like something. You can like or not like a logo, and that doesn't make it a bad logo. What makes it, in this case, a bad design is the fact that the top toys, blends too much and is too hard to read with that blue background. Okay. I don't know how many of you got it perfectly good from in the first, or you hate what you got, like you think it's good or bad. But my goal was to have something bad because I want to show you everything we brought in was the original files. We brought in the original PSD and we brought the original Adobe Illustrator is what we placed in here. So all of this can be modified, but they need to be modified in their original programs. So remember how we went and we changed the color of the top a few times from inside of InDesign? You guys remember that? It was eons ago, it would seem. I'm gonna hit the W key so that I can see everything again for a second. The reason I want to do that, see, when I have the W, I don't have any of the frame markers, but when I hit the W, see these little links there? This is the link that takes this file back to wherever it was placed from in Illustrator. And this is the link that brings me my Photoshop file. And I showed you a couple of ways of how to find that. But if I were to say, well, what I want to change is the color of top toys to make it have more contrast, then I have to go back into Illustrator. If what I want to change is the background of my top, I go into Photoshop. Now, the only other thing I'm going to say, I'm going to hit the W again, and we're going to go ahead and do that. The only other thing I can say that is still possible to be done is I could actually add some kind of effect inside of InDesign to give it a shadow or something like that. But that will or not work with some of your different things. So say that I were to give it a little drop shadow over there. I don't know, let me try that. So this is just the default one, which doesn't look good, but this is what I meant. So anyway, We're not going to go that route right now because my point right now is first two. And by the way, that default one is a horrible drop shadow, but you get my feeling. There's still things that I can do with it, but I can't do what was done in Illustrator. I can't go in and change the color of this Illustrator file in InDesign. I can't change the color of this Photoshop file in InDesign. Okay. So my goal here was to teach you that. So right now what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to change the color of my top toys. Okay. So does anyone remember how to get to our linked files? So one way was working on that link that's there, but remember that I showed you guys, if you don't remember how to get to the things with shortcuts, you can always go up to where it says window and find your different windows that you want to see, and you want to find your links. Now I happen to have them sitting right here. So had I not gone up to Windows, I could see right here this little icon, which I believe since we did do links already last 2 weeks ago, you should already have these icons there. This is links, and it's showing me my AI Illustrator and my PSD, and it shows me that I have 2 of the Photoshop ones for each page. I also want to show you layers in InDesign, this top thing. It's just the same as an Illustrator. So see how this is all considered one layer and it has 2 elements, okay? And if I select this one here, or I select that one there, so there's like basically identical to what I just taught you in Illustrator. Got it? InDesign and Illustrator are very similar. The one that this is a little bit different from both is Photoshop. So now, even if you happen to have gotten the perfect color, the perfect background, the perfect shape, the perfect whatever, what we're going to do is we're going to go in and change something. So let's go change our Illustrator file first. So I'm going to go back to links. Okay. And select the logo, Top Toys, Diana. And then, by the way, this is telling me that it's in the second page. Some of you might have a 1 over here. It's in page 1, mine is in page 2. Remember that see over here that I brought that toy image twice. So for those of you who have 2 pages, see how my top toy says a number 2 and a little arrow. I can click on this little arrow to expand it, and then it shows me that one of my top is in page 1 and one is in page 2. Okay, so that's how it's just telling me where things are. And I'm fine. That's all that is. Now, if I head over here and hover, this is telling me that I can go to that link. So say that I don't know where it is and I just want to go to a link, I can do that. But if I want to edit it, then I can click over here. Okay, this little pencil mark, and it will take me to my Illustrator. Now, Illustrator is already open, so this doesn't seem like a big deal. I could have gone any other way. But say that my Illustrator had been closed because I worked on this, 3 days ago or 10 days ago. Photoshop was closed and I worked 10 days ago on my Photoshop. I could have gone here and clicked on that, and it would have kicked Illustrator open, and it would have presented me with my file. Okay. Right now we have it all open because we're working on it currently, but it doesn't matter. That's how you access that original file, unless you moved it. If you moved it somewhere else, then you wouldn't find it. All right. So now in Illustrator, I'm going to go ahead and change these colors to something else. I'm going to go ahead and do that. Go back to the properties, and I'm going to go ahead and notice that it doesn't show me the group, doesn't show me any color now. It says a little question mark in the fill because I have 2 different colors. And if you have 2 different colors, it's not going to work. So I'm going to make this a little bit smaller here so that we can see the front, InDesign. What in particular do you think this needs? Do you think it needs a lighter logo or a darker logo? Consider the tone of my background before you answer. Say that I want that background to stay.
It could stay. Just make the logo a little darker.
Here's the deal. whichever way I choose to go, you need to have a good amount of contrast. My background is relatively darkish. It's kind of like a middle tone of grays. It's right in between. So in this case, I can do anything except for be middling. I could go much lighter or much darker. Okay. Another thing I can do is go with a different color because there's too much blue in this green, making it kind of hard to read. So you want to have contrast. If you have a dark background, a light foreground, if you have a light foreground, a dark, if your logo is light, you want it on a dark background. If your logo is dark, you want it on a light background. Again, as long as this is not an art piece, we're just talking readability here, okay? Someone who is, by the way, colorblind would be going crazy right now with this design. They would not be able to even see the top toys on top of this background. And a big portion of our population is colorblind, and they would not be able to see this. This is just impossible. There's no real contrast. So either very light or very dark. I'm gonna go for, I'll try light. Would have to go either like deep blue for it to work on such a darkish background. Let me try lighter. So I'm gonna go back in here. I'm gonna select my layers, open up my layers, and I'm gonna first select my my words for the word top, which are the ones that are the words. I'm gonna click Shift. So here I've clicked on the 3 letters that are top. Go back to my properties, and I'm going to click on this. And okay, I'm going to wait till everyone catches up because I haven't shown you yet how to create new colors and how to modify colors. Is everyone in Illustrator? Select anything that has color that you're going to change the color. Okay, I'm going to go for shift these 3, going back to properties. I'm going to change this color, but when I click in here and fill, all I have are the basic swatches that came with, you know, the basic set that came with Illustrator. And what if I don't like any of those, right? I don't want to go for another green. I just want to make a lighter version of this mint green, and I don't have a lighter version of this mint green available to me. So I need to go over here to where we create the colors, double click, and bring up the color picker. So that way I'm not inventing something new. What I'm doing, I'm just having to go for lighter or darker. So up and down is lighter or darker, left and right is more or less saturated. So I'm going to go much lighter. I'm not sure. I'm going to go over to the left. Let's see if that works. Of course, I could go with multicolored, like Ed said, because, you know, we want something more fun. My first example was multicolor. At this point, I ended up with something that's one color. It's also one color makes it hard to read, but right now I'm just basically talking, how do you change and make a new color? Okay, so I'm going to say okay to that. And let's see if that works better. Now I'm going to select my bottom 3. Maybe just to test, what I'm going to do instead with the toys, I'm going to make the toys really dark and the top I made really light, and then I'll see which one I like better, right? And then I can maybe make that decision. So I'm going to go here to this color, and I'm going to make it a really dark version of that mint green. I don't know. Let's try that. Ooh, that's almost black. I still want it to be a green, but I want it to be maybe more saturated. And this isn't going to go much better. Okay, so now what I did is I tried something where I have one of each so that I can test it. The whole point I'm trying to make right now is that I'm making changes, and the moment I save it, okay, I'm going to go back here to this mode where you can see the links. I'm in Illustrator. I'm going to save this file, file save. Now, when I go back here, I need to update this link. Okay, so look at that. See how now my top toys the moment I saved, see how now my top toys has been updated in InDesign. So this is my Illustrator. I saved it when I got to InDesign. There we go. I have my top and my toys. And now I can decide, well, I'd rather go with lighter for both of them or darker for both of them, or maybe I'll go light and dark and I'll mix it up and I'll put many colors to make it more fun. I can choose one of each of all the colors that are light toned in this top if I want to go with colors that kind of make sense. I could have gone into Photoshop, but I've already shown you that, modified the background in Photoshop. And the moment I save, it would have changed in here. Okay. So did you all modify yours in one way or another? My goal is to teach you how to modify a file and have it update itself in Illustrator and in InDesign. Of these, I prefer the lighter version than the darker version. So I'm going to go back to Illustrator and I'm going to go with a lighter version. Okay. For both top and bottom. I'm wondering if I can find let me go ahead and I'm going to make that into a swatch. So in Illustrator, guys, if you're still working on yours, pay attention to me for a second. I'm going to show you how to make this color a swatch. Because if I try now to go over here to the dark top and give it this color, and let me show you what happens. If I go to the dark O and try to give it that color, right? One option, oh, that's my alarm saying that I should give you a break. One option would be to have the swatch set up with that color. But if I look at my swatches, I don't have that color saved. I did save it no, I didn't save it in the libraries. That was the early mint green. I could have saved it in the libraries, but I didn't. But from here, what can I do? Well, I can grab that good old eyedropper and I could click on this color. Okay, so the same eyedropper that I showed you in Photoshop, I have it in here. So again, I'm going to go to my layers, select all my dark colors, get my eyedropper and choose that tone. Okay. Now I think that I need to make some variation here because that's kind of not going to work. So maybe what I'm going to do this time is I'm going to give each one of my letters a slightly different version of green. Maybe I can go with yellows and other stuff, but just showing you how I'm going to grab the T. I'm going to leave it the way it is. I'm going to grab the O. As I grab the O, that's the color of my O. I'll double click on it. And I'm going to make it just a tad darker, just enough so that it distinguishes. Then I'm going to grab my P. I'm going to grab that color and make it even a little bit darker. And I'm going to grab my T. I'm just playing around a bit with I'm going to go actually a little bit lighter with this T. I'm just doing versions of the same thing right now. My O. I'm a little bit darker. I have no idea if it's going to work, but at least I'm not going really colorful. I'm in a bit of a not colorful mode today. Must be my fever. And I'm gonna go darker even. I don't know. So I made it be slightly different, probably too slight of a difference. I was much too gentle with my changes. Go with my S. Make it. No, this P is identical. Anyway, I'm gonna, doesn't matter too much. I'm gonna go lighter with my P. Anyway. My Y, just showing you how to modify individual parts and pieces. And yes, it's all kind of, I don't like this at all, but never mind. Got to move forward and help you guys. It's not about whether mine is pretty or not. I'm going to save it. And when I come back to InDesign, in InDesign right now, it didn't automatically update. In fact, look at how jaggedy it is. But over here, I see that I have a warning sign. So I need to just double click and it updated to my new one, which is definitely not very colorful and fun, but at least it's readable, right? I think the first set that I did where I had many colors when I was first giving you the colors, it was a better idea. Like I can go to Photoshop and I can make more of these. I can pick up more of these colors, right? And make them into, and just bring these colors into, I'm going to add it to the color libraries. I could bring this yellow, sorry, bring this bright yellow. And I'm going to add it to the swatches in my color libraries. And then I can bring some of this blue, deep blue, and I'm going to add it to the swatches and my color libraries. And then I'm going to bring this bright green, add to swatches, add it to my color library. So see how here my color libraries are filling up with colors that would work with this toy. So I'm in Photoshop again, okay? And then I have the original mint green. I have a brighter version of it, add to swatches, color libraries. Anyway, so I brought a bunch of different colors that I picked up from in here. Let me get a darker mint green. Okay, so now this there is a whole bunch of colors in my color libraries picked from the top itself. See that? So now I can go back to Illustrator. And if I go to my libraries, there they are. So I could make a plan C where I start putting all these colors into it. And I'm going to leave it right now, but you know, that could make for a pretty colorful little logo. Anyway, and picking up from this over here. So it could be much prettier. I'm going to stop my share because or not stop it yet, but ask you guys, because it's time for break, if I can help you guys. I want you to tell me if it is or isn't working for you. Let me share let me clean your feedback. So everything you say right now is yes if you're fine, no if you need help. And if you're like, oh, I'm so far behind, I don't want to ask for help, that's the time to ask for help. Okay, yes if everything's good, no if you need a hand. I do want to say that I want to have everyone at least at some point share whatever they're coming up with so everyone can see whatever you're all doing. I'm also curious. Okay. Dorothy, want to share your screen? Let's go for InDesign and hold on the shift in Illustrator. The window right next to it. On the shift. Cool. That way we can see both and now say share. Okay. So what is or isn't working? Like, what's your question?
Well, I was watching, so I wasn't doing anything.
Okay.
You were doing.
All right. Go ahead and do Command +++ so things get bigger. It's very hard to work on many versions of stuff. Yeah. Okay. So it looks like you were trying to move your letters around a bit.
Yeah, I'm trying to move it over to here.
Okay, so go grab, double click, triple click, double click, double click, double click the T until it isolates from the rest. Now you can grab it one more time and move it over. And now double click, double click, double click. Oh, that's the easier way instead of going to the layers and selecting each one. Oh, there's a problem there. That was a compound path. So go
Yes.
ahead and escape. Yeah. So you have to back up one. Go ahead and hit escape. You might need to go and grab it from the light. Go ahead and hit escape and now select it again. Double click not much times, one time, there, that's enough. Try to move it now.
Nope.
No, you're already, okay, sit escape. Hit escape again. All right, go to the layers and bring it in as a layer. I haven't taught you compound paths. I don't have time to teach you a compound paths that I teach in the Illustrator class. So go up to the very top where it says properties, the tab, right next to it is layers. No, you were fine. Yeah, they're right next to it. Yeah.
You want layers?
Yeah. Mhm.
Okay.
Select it this way. It's going to be easier. So go just click. Yeah, click there. So it clicks on a different one. Yeah, just select a different one. Select a different circle. Because right now you have the only one part of those. Select the Y. I don't care. Go to the little circles on the far right. On the far right, select a different one. Okay, now come back to that O, which is the one that's right underneath it. No. Up in the, always up in the, go to the right, go to the right where you have the little dots, go to the right where you have the little dots and click on the O, that one. Yeah, that's the circle for the O. Okay, good. Now you have the entire compound path. So now you should be able to move it without separating the O.
Got it.
These letters, when you made them as outlines, they ended up being, one is a sort of shape for the big old green and the other is a little white circle because they're not text anymore. Okay. All right. So, all right. And you can keep playing with this, you know, to your heart's content later, but that looks like it might work better on the business card. So go ahead and say save and file save. And then now click on Illustrator and see if it updated. And you guys see how she has a very different shaped artboard?
I'm already
Artboard.
on. I'm in Illustrator.
Sorry, it's InDesign. Click on InDesign, which you had shared with us. And go down to the dock and bring up InDesign. Yeah. And see how it's needing to be updated. So go to your links. Yeah. Open up this, go to the link. Yeah, perfect. Links. And then double click on that little warning sign, so to say, on the left, a little, double click on that. Perfect. Okay. So now this is your updated version, but your frame is much too small. So grab the corner of the frame and make it much bigger downward so that we can see the whole top toys. So the frame, the one that right now has about, go to that little white box. That's the bounding box of this shape. Yeah. And down, 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 down. So we can see the whole top toys.
You pull it down.
Keep going down until you keep going. We need to go all the way down to the bottom of the S. Yeah, perfect. Yeah, okay. Now to make the whole thing smaller, go to the same place you were just pulling from, go down to that corner. Yeah, and now hold down your shift key plus your option and your command, three buttons, shift, option, and command. And now grab that corner and bring it in, and that resizes the whole thing. Okay, now let go somewhere around there and then go move it into place and see how it feels. All right. So now remember, we're going to probably need to write some kind of phone number, address, something in the bottom. So maybe a bit higher might be a better idea. Again, you might have your design be totally different, but there you go. You could move your top in Photoshop a little bit to the right, but right now we're not going to you can make it a little bit smaller if needed so that it all doesn't go on top. You could leave it on top. So like you can do again what you just did, but make it a teensy bit smaller. So select it again. You need to select, option, command, shift, and give it just a tad smaller. Yeah, that's quite a bit smaller what you just made, but okay. And then move it into place. Okay. Cool. I'm going to stop your share.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, guys. Isabel, you want to share your screen? My niece is Isabella, and I never say Isabella. I want to say Isabella. All right. So your looks to me like your top toys got distorted. Okay, so go ahead and do Command Z. because you can't really undistort it. You might need to just bring it in again, but say Command Z. Now that's a much more fun logo than mine, isn't it, for toys? Okay, Command Control. You're on a PC. Control Z. Control Z a few times. Oh, and you know what though? I can see that there's been your file is modified, so I don't even know how the original one is. So go and double click on that little warning sign to get it to update. Okay, it still looks like it's been compressed incorrectly. Why don't you just delete it and bring it in again? It's very hard to find its right size once you've done it. So select that and just hit the delete key or the backspace key and go and say place again, just so that it comes in without, whoops, I don't know where you went. No, go stay where you were in InDesign and then go say file place. Oh, you are. Okay, so go up to file and place and just select it again. Cool. And say open. And now click and drag until it gets to the size that you think you want. If you can't click and drag, then just do a single click and then you can move it. Yeah. Perfect. And then if you want to make it bigger or smaller, hold down the Shift, Alt, and Control, and then pull out. Because now you're only moving the box. See, that doesn't work. So you need to bring it back in. Yeah. And now hold down your Shift, Control, and Option, and then grab the corner and pull it out. Okay, so maybe that's a little bit too big. So bring it back.
Buddy. Wow.
Okay. Now let's go look at your Illustrator. So go down. I want to see your actual Illustrator file. Okay, so we need to get it to show up with clean lines. Okay, so go back to InDesign. I just needed to see it because I hadn't seen it in here. So go back to InDesign. Yeah, and I need you to there we go. Now see how now it's the right logo, but your whole thing isn't showing. It's like you moved the inner. Let me just show you something that will make what'll help you. I have been telling you not to touch that little line thing that's in the middle. Put your mouse over it. Put your mouse over it. I've been telling you to avoid that circle. The reason is that that circle, for better or for worse, moves your content. So in your case, your content has been moved so that your top of your tops is all cut out. So you need to move the content only. So go touch that circle now. A little bit to the right. You're not in the circle, like a little bit to the right. Yeah, you need to actually touch that little donut. Yeah. Touch the donut there. And now you can move it down a bit.
Oh, okay.
There you go. So now you see the whole thing. Okay. So
Okay.
that little donut thing is to move just the content within the frame. Okay.
All right.
All
thank-
right. So that sounds good. See how much better it looks with all those colors. I like those choices. Yay. And it sees that you did choose colors from the top. So that's cool. All right. Anyone else who needs a hand? I don't see any other hand requesting.
Well, I'm satisfied with my colors. So
Ooh,
how about if I
I
want,
have music. Whose music is that? Yeah, bad timing. Okay, so say that. Ask me again.
so I'm satisfied with my colors, but what if I
Mhm.
wanted to add a drop shadow?
Okay, we'll work on extras after break. We're gonna do drop shadows. We're gonna do text and other kind of stuff. Our break has come and gone a few times, so let's do that first. Okay. If there's no other questions about getting to this point where your logo is the right size, ideally the right color. What time is it? 11:06. So let's go on break until 11:21. Okay. See you guys in 15 minutes. All right, I'm back. I'm back. I took some meds for my headache. Hopefully, I'll be in a better space for the afternoon. The class starts 15 minutes after this one. And wow, what a day to have a fever. Okay. Is everyone back, you guys? Yep, I see, not everyone, but I see many faces. All right. Oh, my glasses. All right. So hopefully those of you who took a long break just took a break. Those of you who kept working on your logo, changing it or changing the colors. I was going to change the colors of mine during the break. And then I decided, you know what? I got to take care of myself. I actually need a break. So I didn't change the colors of mine. Before I share my screen, any questions? All right. So let's go ahead and here we go again. All right. So let's go ahead and put some text in here. And then we're going to do a little bit of text in the other apps. So I don't know yet if this is too big or too small. We'll see. Normally you don't want to modify a logo based on a business card, let me just say, right? But since this is a logo that we're just putting together, if right now I feel like I need to the colors or whatever to change, that's fine. Colors do change on logos sometimes. For the most part though, all logos should be able to work in black and white. And that's why this one in particular doesn't really work in black and white, because remember the T and the O made it look, when it was one color, it looked like a B or something. So anyway, that said, let's put some text in InDesign. So I'm going to put this W on because it's important that you all check a couple of things. First of all, if this is getting really confusing to have all this box be so big, if you guys have that kind of thing, remember, it doesn't need, the frame doesn't need to be this big. What I can do right now is I could have my frame be the size that it needs to be, which is basically this outside bleed line, this outside green line. So I can grab the corner of this one and bring it in until it, and see, you'll feel a little snap where it's just going to go bing and snap right into the right place. So with the black arrow tool, I'm going to go ahead and grab this one and make it be just like bing. And now this is much easier to look at. Okay. And even if I'm looking at it out this way, at least I don't have so much extra stuff all over the place. I also want you to know that if you, and I showed this a little bit with Dorothy, no, with Isabella, sorry, Isabel, where I told you about this circle that appears in the middle. Notice that it appears in the middle, and I've told you to avoid it until now. Well, if you don't avoid it, if you put your mouse right there, and then inside, like, you see this little hand. If you're on a PC, you don't see a hand, but on a Mac, you see a hand. Just then, not here, but then I can move the contents around. So I can still move my contents around as long as my top was bigger, which in my case it was. Now I'm going to undo that. I was pretty happy with where it was. But over here, where the top is smaller, if I put my hand in here and I move it around, all I get is parts of it begin to disappear, right? But my frame stays the same. So we did one day where we worked on frame and content. And that's why I was trying to people avoid that little guy, because it's kind of confusing if you don't know what's happening and why does, part of it suddenly disappear, because your frame, this blue one, is staying in the same place, and it's your content that's moving around. Okay. But if you need your content to move around a little bit right now, and you have it maxed out and you move it a bit to the left, you just might get some white or some other stuff. So you need to make sure that your content is good. Now, if we needed perchance to move it to the right, like maybe Dorothy had to move hers to the right a little bit before she decided to make her logo smaller, and move it to the right, but then you might not get into Photoshop and just add a bit of background to the left in order to have it fit. Okay, so unless anyone really wants to see how that's done, I just wanted to show you guys that you can move this around as much as you want now. But most importantly, make sure that you have enough lead coverage that if something were to go wrong, this whole thing can disappear from all the way there to here and from all the way there to here. You need to be covered both ways. So what this red line on the inside is your margins. You don't want anything that needs to be red to be outside the margins. So I don't need this part of the top to be red or not. It's okay if I cut this much, or this much, but it's not okay for me to have my T of my top toys in that area. It needs to be inside of the red. So I'm going to hit my W, and here you stop seeing those lines. So in this mode, if you're not seeing those lines I'm talking about, hit the W to see them, and then make sure that your logo fits within that margin that we created. Okay, that safe section. All right. All right, so it seems to be that my logo is probably going to have to get smaller, but let's see why. Because over here, it seems like I have a lot of space left. But once I do this, you see that I really only have about this much space, because this piece here is not safe. See that piece there? That's not safe. I can't write in there in case it gets cut off. Okay, so whatever I write has to be within this pink line, the margins. Does that make sense? So you can't just willy-nilly say, I'm going to put my text down right there, because it might just be slashed in half. Okay, so for the placement of our text, go ahead and use the W that shows you all of the frames and lines. That way you can start the text in the right place. Then let's go get a type tool. And as soon as we get the type tool, the first thing that we write is going to show up in whatever it is that we used last. Remember, this type we wrote in Illustrator. So whatever we write in right now will have no relationship to whatever that logo is in. It'll be whatever we used last in InDesign. Now in InDesign, you don't just click and write, you have to make a text box. So you need to say my text is going to be in this area. So you're going to go click and drag to make the text box. Now I made it stop right there, but I'm going to hit undo to get rid of that box. I could have also completely gone all the way to the end there, but then type is going to have a hard time going over this, but that doesn't mean that I can't. I can make a little bar, a little colored bar at the bottom, and right on top of that. It's going to be very hard to put all the text we want into this little spot. So how about we put a little colored bar over there and then start writing something on top of it. So let's go. And so if you already made your text box, you can leave it there. Otherwise, you can also delete it, but say that you already made your text box, right? Let's go ahead and change our tool. So here's my text box. When I go back to my selection tool, I have a text box with no text in it. All it has is this little hashtag kind of showing me that some text will go in there, showing me that it is a text box. Okay. So much for my timer. That was my timer telling me that break was over. I'm glad I was looking at the watch. So here's my text box. And unfortunately, I chose to have a blue background so you don't see it well. Hopefully, if you have a different background, you'll see it better. Let me just get rid of this for a second. So here's my text box, okay? It's just that over blue, you don't see it. So you can grab it and make it bigger or smaller or change it or whatever it is that you need to do. So for now, we're going to leave it there. I'm going to do undo to bring back my background. So I just wanted to show you that there. All right. So how about I make I put some text in it so that we can see whether it's going to be readable. So I'm going to click in that text box and let's go ahead and write. So we probably want maybe is it a generic card with just like a website or an Instagram? Like right now, a lot of cards don't come anymore with like, especially over the pandemic, with actual addresses. Most of the times they give you a phone number and a website, right? Rarely, I mean, unless it's a doctor, so a service that you need to go to their homes, you don't see addresses anymore.
But I don't know. I'll let you guys tell me, what should we write here? What would you like in this business card? Is it a person? Is it your name? Is it your business card?
How about www.toptown.com?
Okay, toptoys.com. Or tops, if your case was you're making tops because your logo has tops. For the most part, you probably want to add a name. Usually business cards it's not a brochure for the whole business. It's also the person. But yeah, we can just put a website. If we put it just a website, probably we're going to also put an Instagram or a Facebook. Soon we're going to have to start putting TikTok. It's becoming bigger and bigger. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's just do we don't even need to write www anymore right now. All you need to write is the name, toptoys.com. So say I write toptoys.com. Now, whatever came out at exactly the size and shape of whatever it is that I wrote last, the font, the color. Because it's a website, even though we don't have to go upper lowercase, a lot of the times people do upper and lowercase their website because it's 2 words to make it read better, but you can't put a space in there. You could choose to put www if you want. We don't need that anymore. Depends on the space that you have. I'm going to choose not to put it in there. Let's go ahead and I'm going to click behind com. Let's keep writing. Maybe we want to put some little widget or some little drawing or something to separate the information. Let's put an Instagram. How do you put an Instagram account? You put a little @ and then maybe this is @TopToys. So say that you're lucky enough to get the same Instagram name as your account. A Facebook account tends to be sometimes people put in the little icons for Instagram, the icon for Facebook, otherwise you can put in a / and then put in Top Toys. Now, the whole point is, since I'm using the same one, it doesn't really make much sense to have so many, because I was lucky enough to get like the same name, but a lot of times it isn't. Like many times the Instagram isn't the same as your website or as your Facebook, right? So you might want to say Top Toys Today or something like that. Maybe that's the one that you managed to get for one of them. Let's invent that we did not get everything we want. And it's like, and here it's like our top toys. So basically we ended up with something different. And notice, I'm going to go ahead and move this out of the way. I'm going to move the background out of the way for a second, so you guys can see what's happening with it's bad news that the color at the bottom is the same as the color of my box. So I began to write more, and you could actually, in front of the dash, some people put the Facebook or something like that, so there's different ways of. I think the most typical thing was to bring the little icons in for each one of the things that you're trying to put in. So what's happening here? My box that I made was not big enough. So when you see that it's not big enough, it gives you this little plus sign. Okay, you have overset text. So you can grab it from the bottom and make it bigger. This is just a frame, just like our photos. I can make the frame bigger or smaller and see more or less of it. This is a frame, only it holds text. So I can make it bigger and then see all of our text. Does that make sense? So I'm not moving it. This would be moving it. I grabbed it from the text. I'm going to undo. It's just the corners. And I'm not distorting our text or anything. I'm just the corners. Okay. When I click away, oh, I typed. I think I had that little that little plus sign is gone versus when I had it in here. You see a little plus sign. You see the one I mean? That little tiny box. Make it much, oof. Hold on. I got too much bigger. I wanted to show you. That little, everything else grows, but not the plus sign. So that little plus sign is what I'm talking about. That means that I don't see everything. Because maybe I don't know the name of this company. And how do I know that it doesn't end in our top, right? So you have to expand that until you don't see the little plus sign anymore. And there you go, no plus sign anymore. So now I've got all my text in there. Okay. Now, when you hit right now you have these little dots and all that other stuff, which is hidden characters. Are you seeing the hidden characters too or not? Are you seeing the little blue dots and that kind of thing or not?
No.
You're not getting that? I must have I have my hidden characters turned on always. I thought I had turned it off. Let me see if I turn mine off. View. I see them. I always want to see them, so I don't know right now where to hide them from. God, I'd have to do. Joyce, you're good at this. Go ahead and see if you can look how to hide the hidden characters. Anyway, but let me just tell you what these hidden characters are. It's showing
The
you
bottom
your,
thing on type.
what's
in the
that?
menu.
What's
It's the
that?
bottom choice on type on the menu.
Hide hidden characters. Thank you. There you go. So there's my, so let me just show you what those are. It allows you to see. So for example, I made 3 spaces in between each one. Had I made 4 in one of them, sometimes you can't, sometimes you can't tell. Like had I had my hidden characters being hidden, I might not be able to tell right now if I have the same amount of space in between or not. Visually, I might have, maybe I might not. But if you have the hidden characters turned on, then you do see, oops, 3 spots over here. So this represents my character called space, and I can delete 1 space. Okay, so that's just the beginning of the text is what that, now that's the beginning and the end of the text and that kind of thing. So that's what that is, but I'll turn it off in case it's confusing to you guys. I have my hidden characters on all the time in Word and everything, but it doesn't come automatically there. Okay, so now as long as you're seeing that not have a plus sign, I'm going to bring my background back again. And what I discover is that this is not very good, is it? First of all, I can bring it down a little bit still to make it be near to the bottom line, but how do you think this reads? First of all, I don't like the font. Second of all, I don't like the color. Most of all, I don't like how it reads over here once I go over the top. So if you haven't gone over the top and you made it smaller, be careful. Find out what size you're printing at. And I'm going to select this box. And then I look over here at character and I've got 12 points. Okay. So a solution for a lot of people might be, oh, I can't see that. Let me make it smaller, because if you make it smaller, you'll see it all. So say I make it 8 points. Oh, there it goes. That works. Now I'm not, in front of my top. But don't forget that you're not seeing this full size. And depending on your screen, I'm going to hit the W again. Depending on your screen, this is looking much bigger than a business card. So if you have a business card around, or if you have a ruler around, I can see that this is way bigger visually right now than my actual business card is going to be. So depending on your screen, depending on the resolution of your screen, there's so many different reasons. But to get even an idea of this is going to read, you might want to hold down your command minus, and then make it about the size of what a business card would be. And in my case, getting to 100% on my screen, that when I grab a business card and put it over, I'm literally grabbing a business card and putting it over on my screen. That is actually visually what my business card would be. And at this point, looking at that, I go, my goodness, I can barely read that. Okay, 8 points is way too small. All right. So you can't just go by looking at it this big and think, oh, that looks good. You need to try to see it or print it out, right? If you have a printer handy, print it out, and then you'll see, no, this is way too small. So I'm going to select that text again, and I'm going to go back up, and maybe 10 points could be, or 12 points. So 10 points is readable. Most people can read 11 points. A lot of people need a minimum of 14 or 16 points to read. But anyway, since we don't have anything else written, how about we just choose whatever fits? I want it to fit the entire bottom. And so, but I don't want it to be absurdly big. So if you start going way too big, here, I'm going to grab and push this over. And I made 3 spaces in between each. Then you get to a place where it's not fitting anymore. I'm going to keep moving this out of the way so that you can see it. So now I made it 14 points, but then this doesn't fit anymore. Okay, I'd have to go all the way there for it to fit, and I'm getting up too close. Anyway, so there's a bunch of different things that we can do. What I'm going to do first, let me make sure that I have this at the right edge. Make sure to make your box go from a little bit less than the edge and a little bit less than the edge over there. And then let's see what we can do with this text. Okay. I'm going to keep leaving this background gone for a minute because it's really hard to read, which means that, well, actually, let me bring it back. Why? Because this means that we're going to have to do something. Either have the text be in a different place, have it be on the other side, have this logo be much smaller, and then put the 3 names, you know, website and Top Toys and Facebook one in a row, one after the other. I mean, there's so many solutions, right? But the one I want us to try is to do something here for this to read, and then we can work on our text. So one option would be to put a little box underneath it of a color. And then the text that needs to be read is sitting on its own box. So you can play off on one of the colors of your logos, which I don't have many colors in my logo. You can play off on one of these colors. So how would you do this? I make a box right now. Let's go over to the box tool. Let me get bigger again, just because to show things to you, it's easier to have it bigger. But you saw what I meant already. Don't assume that because it's too big that it works well. Go over here to our tools on the left, and there's two different boxes. There's this one, which is the frame tool, and this one, which is a shape tool. Both look like rectangles. This is a frame. What means is that I make a frame means I can bring in an image from Illustrator, bring in an image from Photoshop. Just a frame is something that holds text or images. A shape, on the other hand, is what I want to make. I want to make a box with a color, similar to what we did in Illustrator. This makes shapes. If I click and hold, you'll notice that I have 3 similar tools as I had in Illustrator. I just don't have the star, but I have the rectangle, the ellipse, and the polygon. So let's choose the rectangle. And let's head over here. And if I make a rectangle that's kind of just the size of my text, it'll be very hard to distinguish. Let me moving the back out of the way again. If I make a box here, a shape, it's just a box. It's just a, you know, it again doesn't seem to be anything. I keep doing Command Z, getting rid of these boxes, because as you can see, it comes out completely empty, right? And if I look up here, it's saying fill 0, stroke 0. So the regular rectangle, the shapes come with no default shape or fill. So it doesn't matter what shape you made. Let's go and fill it first so we can begin to see it. Okay. So when you go to fill over here, you discover that it looks a little bit different than it did in Illustrator. And we haven't even seen this in Photoshop. We don't have this kind of fill box in Photoshop. The colors are much more limited, just like 5 colors, paper, tape, just a couple things right there. This is the basic set of colors. I can make new swatches or not, or I can shift over here to the color picker, or I can over here and pick some gradients, right? But even, so this is my swatches, but it looks different than the swatches I've had before. Now, how about we change, if it says show all, well, no, I won't do that. So how about we make a new color for this? Okay, so let's make a new color swatch. Let's just, or if one of these works for you, like the blue one might work for me here. It's similar enough to that blue. But remember we had libraries. Let's go to our libraries. And in our libraries, I had saved some colors. Did you all get to save some colors in your libraries? Maybe the first color that I made you save. I then went ahead and saved a few more, but maybe the first color that you saved is still there. I'm going to go ahead and go for a blue from my top. So I click over here and I get that blue. Not sure if it's the best choice right now, but I'm going to try that. I can always keep changing it. See, I can go for other tones and colors. Right now I'm going to go for that deep blue. If instead of having the libraries, I'm going to go back to the properties. If instead of having the libraries, what you do is when you click on the fill and you need a color over here, you can make a new color. You can make a new swatch from here. Okay, so go back from libraries, go back to properties and go back to fill. We're going to click on fill. And what we're going to do is we're going to make a new color. That's neither one nor the other. So we're going to click on this little plus sign here that says new swatch. And we've made a new swatch. Now, at this point, I've made quite a few different swatches because each one that I tested from the libraries came in as a swatch. So these are all new ones, but this is one that I just made. So everyone go to your fill. And if for this to work, you need to have select made a box of some kind. Go to your fill, click on that plus sign to make a new swatch. And then here you have a swatch. In my case, it's called 2Copy, whatever color it is. So I'm going to double click on it. And then I get this little swap options choice. Okay. And then I can play around and make this be a deeper blue, a greener blue, a yellow, whatever it is that I want to do. So you can play around over here with colors as well. You can also grab your eyedropper. Is this not recording? Okay. I just wanted to make sure that I wasn't having issues with that. Hold on. No, it is recording. Okay. You can grab your eyedropper and click on the blue, right, that you want, or the green that you want. Why is my eyedropper not working? Huh. All right. It's not letting me choose. Anyway, so make a color if you want, okay? Or bring in the colors that you had. So I'm going to just go with this one, the same blue. And I can change the name too. If I double click, I can give it a, you know, top blue, top dark blue, give it names. And so now this color, whatever color you chose, is in a box. Now I'm going to go up here to my tools, to my selection tool, and select my box. And if you did make it bigger already on top of your text, or if you made it smaller, the whole big point is that it's on top of my type. Why? Because I made it later. Think Illustrator, just like Illustrator. I made it second. I made it after I made my text. Okay. So the solution that we had in Illustrator to move things around, what was that? If I want to change the levels of my stack.
Layers.
Yeah, so we're going to head over to the layers. Move this down a bit. So I have the icon over here, but if you don't have the icon over here, how do you find it? You go up to Windows and look for layers, and then it'll pop open. Okay. And so here it says rectangle. It's not as helpful as Illustrator, where Illustrator shows you a little box with the color, but it says the word rectangle. And this is my text, top toys today. So I know that I can just grab, and in this case, this is a bit more like Photoshop. I can just grab it and drag it down. You grab the layer itself, but this is Illustrator too. You grab the layer itself. The only thing is that in order to have it selected, you need to click on these little boxes, okay? So now you move it under the text, okay? And then we can make it be a band that's under the text. Now, that means my text in this case is going to have to be what?
White.
White or very light green or something very light, okay? Because I chose to make a dark band. So I don't know what colors you guys chose, but it needs to be darker. So I'm going to go ahead and put this background back where it belongs, which is over there. And I'm going to go ahead and turn on my tools. And how far should this rectangle extend if I want it to be the whole bottom of my card? If I want the whole bottom of my card to be blue with text, how far should this box extend?
Just the top part. But you should lower.
So is this good?
Yeah.
You
Well-
don't mind it covering up your top.
I'm going to hide this. You could decide to have a little box in there like that. Okay. You're going to be in trouble though. If you do what I just did, you're going to be in trouble. Why? I'm leaving my safe margin section. I'm going outside of it, right? But when I look like that, it's like, still looks fine. It's about the same distance from here to here. What if this card gets cut a little bit closer? If it gets cut a bit closer here, this will be very near the edge. And that means that over here, it'll be out further and this will be off. So it's going to look very off center. See what I mean? So a box like this is pretty dangerous because you're playing. It's okay. The text is inside. So if you're going to make a box, I would recommend making it all the way out. Okay. Is this, and then it's the bottom of your business card. You can make it smaller. Anyway, right now I'm not going for width or not, but is that going to work? What do you think? Did I place it in the right place? Is this blue box in the right place? I'm getting a couple of yeses. I'm looking for someone who might disagree or agree and tell me why it's the right or the wrong place.
Shouldn't the edge of the blue box be on the edge of the red line inside that boundary?
This one here,
Yeah. The,
that's the margin.
the safe line.
Okay, so there's a safe line. And if I do that, which is much safer, I have two problems. One, parts of my letters, since my letters, I put them nearby, are falling, but that's okay. I could move my letters up if necessary, right? But say that I was, and that it still works. I'm still left with the problem that if they cut this wrong, then I'm going to end up with something that looks like this. Too close on one and too far on another. See what I mean? On a business card, when you try to go with a little box like that, you're counting on the fact that the printer will do it really correctly. And you might end up with something that's a little bit off center, which is fine. That could be one solution. So that would be a good solution, but at least it's inside the safe zone. The other solution would be to make an entire band all the way to the bleed, right? All the way to the bleed. So then, no matter how much they cut or don't cut, you'll still be able to see it. Now, do I want to hide my top? Maybe I do, maybe I don't. Right now, I can't even see my text. Let's change our text so that we can begin to see it a little bit more. So I can go and change the color of my text to begin to try to see it, begin to really see it for real. So I'm going to go over here to the fill. And look what's going to happen, guys. Just pay attention. I selected my text box. Okay, text box. I go to fill. And I'm going to just fill it with something right now. What got filled? Did my font change color? No, my frame changed color. I'm going to say none to that. You need to change here if it's going to go to your frame or to your text. Okay, so my text is the one that's going to change color. So now I can go to the bottom where I had all my different swatches, and maybe I'll go with that light green that I guess I picked up from somewhere. probably from there. Or I can go with white. But be careful. Paper here looks white because my white right now is, my background right now is white, making the assumption that I'm going to print on white paper. But what if I print these cards on craft paper? What if I print these cards on recycled paper, you know, the kind that has little dots or stuff? So then this paper would be that color. So you have to be careful because this isn't white. This is truly paper. It makes a hole so that whatever is underneath shows through. So be careful with the paper choice, okay? It truly is whatever, it's a hole cut out. Right now it's showing me white. So if you want a white color, you have to make a white swatch. Anyway, I'm gonna go with this light color that I had here, but if you don't have one light enough, go ahead and click on the plus sign and then double click and make yourself a white color by going all the way to the top for all these sliders and you get white. Maybe you want a really light green or a light purple or whatever, right? You might be needing dark ones. I don't know what you need. I need a light color. So I'm just going to go with this little greenish light that I found over here because it seems to read pretty well. So that was my fill. Now let's go back to my font. Maybe I do want it bigger, maybe I do want it smaller, but it seems to me that between 12 points and 14 points, where's that 13? Let me try 13. It's not in my drop down. So what I can do is I can write in here 13 and then hit return. That sounds like it might be a little bit better. Maybe I want to make it smaller. I don't want to have such big font. Maybe I do want a 10 or a 12 points or an 11 points, but I'd like it to be centered, or I'd like it to go from end to end. Maybe I can make a few more spaces in between them, right? So that they kind of look like they're clearly different things. So I'm going to make 1, 2 more here and 1, 2 more here. So that might help. Or I might want to expand my, make my font be wider. So I'm going to take those spaces that I just added out of here. I'm going to take one out from each and see it's not reaching the end. So I can go over here where I change the tracking and I can add a little bit of tracking to make it a little bit bigger, maybe 5 points. Maybe I'll go further. And then that kind of gets it to be in the right spot. Okay, so you can play different ways. I still don't like that this bottom is going to be so skewed. Like my text can't go much further than that. You know, I can bring it down a bit more. There, that's as far as I can bring my text down. But see how it's not centered on my box? So I might want to make my box a teensy bit bigger, which then means I need to then make my logo a little bit smaller. So I'm going to go the Option Command Shift route. Oops. Option Command Shift. And then move it up. Top to left. Maybe I want to move it a little bit in. So anyway, you play around with things. But one thing I don't like is that this is so opaque, so dense that I don't see anything underneath. I want to play with the opacity of this a little bit. So now I'm going to start working a little bit with opacity. Maybe this box, and you don't have to have done a box like mine. You could have done one right around the text, your choices. I'm just showing you different options. But if you do make something, main thing I wanted to say is that you make something that's supposed to go to the bleed, then it has to go all the way out. Okay, that's the main reason I'm showing you this box versus the others, because you can't just make a box that goes to the cut line. You need to make it go to the bleed, just like the photos. That's the part that's harder for people to visualize if they haven't. So I'm going to go here over to my box and I'm going to change its opacity. So over here on the right, I'm going to change its opacity and let me bring it down a little bit. If I make it too opaque, then this is hard to read again, like too transparent, I'm sorry, it's hard to read again. So 40%. So maybe I just need a little bit of transparency, depending on your image. It might work better or less. I'm thinking just a tad still lets it be readable. But it looks a little bit nicer to not have it be purely, whoops. Here comes Ed. Anyway, just ideas of what you can do. I probably, I'm going to go back to kind of 100%, which is what's going to show me the card. This is me looking at it in card size. And I think, yeah, I don't want that text to be any smaller than that. Okay. Again, you could have put name and address, then you would have had more space. This is kind of what we chose to put in this card. Questions for whom it is or isn't working. If you've got it, everything's good, say yay. Oh, before we went on break, Dylan had asked me about effects. So say that we want to put a little bit of an effect on your logo. You know, I had given you a really quick drop shadow to show you how, you know, how you could affect with a drop shadow. Let's go ahead and grab this one. And you don't need to keep it on if you don't like the drop shadow, especially if you have a lot of colors, you don't need it. But let me show you what it would be like. So click on that logo, and over here under opacity that we just used, you have the little FX. Click on FX. You get many different kinds. So say that I go with drop shadow. So I'm going to click on drop shadow. This whole box pops open. And whatever drop shadow you get right now is the default drop shadow that kind of comes to start with. And if you're not seeing it, make sure that your preview is turned on so that any changes you make, you can begin to see it. Okay, so turn on your preview in case you're not seeing it. And then over here, there's a ton of different choices. Let me go to the most important ones. First of all, the most important ones is that the default drop shadow that comes is always black. And just so you guys know, shadows aren't black. If a shadow is on something green, the shadow is a deep green. If the shadow is on something yellow, the shadow is a dark yellow, right? So this black is always going to look a little bit fake. So I highly recommend clicking on this black right there. And then you're going to go with a color that's part of the of your background or something like that. So you could have brought it in. You could have a swatch that's showing you that blue. I'm going to see if I go with this one right there, and then I'll change the darkness. That might work, but maybe a deeper one that has less color. If I don't find one that I like, then I can change that. But right now, maybe that one will work, but I'm going to make it be much less opaque. So then it really does look like a shadow because it's just a tad. Another thing that bugs me, and I'm going to make it really dark so you can see, is how big this shadow is. I hate big shadows. I think they make things look even, I mean, it doesn't make sense right now. This thing is floating and the rest is not floating. So if you're going to have a shadow, I like drop shadows to be really subtle, that you don't really notice they're there as much, but that they just help you pop. Like before, when I had the colors that weren't light, I could have helped it pop with a little shadow. So over here, I can control the direction and the distance. So over here where it says size, if I make it bigger or smaller, it gets fuzzier or tighter. Okay, so the size, if I keep going up, it becomes like this little cloud fuzzy thing. If I make it smaller, it becomes tighter and tighter. Okay, now I want a fuzzy one, maybe not so fuzzy. We'll see, probably fuzzy. But then the spread here is going to make it go really big or really tight, you know, so we'll move it like that. And then maybe I'll make the distance be much closer. So over here, see how I'm changing the distance instead of having it so far off, I'm going to move it much closer. Maybe I want it less spread out. Maybe I want to make it a little bit tighter. Maybe I'll now that I have it kind of in the place I want it, I'll make it much, much lighter. So I'm going to opacity. So by the time I'm done, I think if I turn the preview on and off, I definitely have a shadow. But if I look away and I turn it off, I can't really see this big, deep shadow on it. I have a shadow clearly, but it isn't that big, horrible, thing that I had before. So anyway, I'm going to open this up again so you can ask me if you have questions about these choices. So I just manipulated all these numbers. Okay, so here is the opacity. And first I give it the shape at fully 100%. So that I leave it at 100%. And then I start like, maybe you want to change the angle, right? From a different angle or something like that. I kind of like the angle that it had. So I'm going to leave that angle alone. Distance is what makes it like go further and further or closer and closer. Size, fuzzier or less fuzzy. You can have it be very fuzzy and then change the spread. If you have it very fuzzy, it's harder for it to really look. Noise adds a little bit of texture to it. Okay, so depending on what background you have, it might make sense or not. For the most part, in this case, it wouldn't make any sense, so I haven't touched that. Yeah, so I'm kind of liking that, and then I'm going to make it really, really light. Very light. Some of you like it darker, depending on your image, your color, your background. Every time you'll make a different one. Okay, so say I make it that much, and I say, okay. And I look at it, you might not really see it as much, but when you turn the effects off, I'm going to pull it up. If you took the preview on and off, that's when you see whether it truly does have a shadow or not. Okay. All right. By the way, over here, you could have given the shadow to the stroke or to the fill or to other stuff. So right now, I want to make sure it's to the fill. Okay. So how's it going with that top shadow? Let me just keep going down to remember that this is the actual size that I'm going to have. So anyone want to share their cards, have questions? I'm not sure that this is the blue I'd like. I'd probably like more of a dark mint green. Anyway, questions about colors or text or boxes or.
I have a question about the text color. How do I change the text color?
Okay, so select your text box. Always with the selection tool. Select your text box. And then go over here to where it says fill. Okay, and the appearance fill. And then here you need to change that from frame to text.
Oh.
You can also make that be less opaque, more opaque. Right now, the last thing I need is an opaque text, but you can change that too.
What's the tint?
Yeah, leave it. It has to do with color, like saturation, and ignore the tint.
So if I want the text white.
So then if you want white, if you want white text, let me select the text again. Otherwise this stuff doesn't appear. If you want white text, you need to make, if you're going to print on white paper, you could just use paper. Oh, sorry. See, there you go. I didn't change that. And so the frame is changing. Go back up. You either go over here and change the text right there to paper. That would give you white text, or you create a white color by changing all the saturation. So you choose a color. And let me choose this orange one, and you double click the swatch. And then if you make everything completely 255, 255, 255, right there, you've got white. I do have an issue I didn't notice before. As soon as I said the 255, I stopped in my tracks because Remember I said that this is going to go to print. So something's wrong with this, that I've been distracted with other stuff. We're not going to be printing in RGB. We're going to be printing in CMYK. So to make colors of letters and ink, you have to switch this to CMYK. And then you get cyan, magenta, yellow, and black. And then it's everything to the left. It's 0 of all the inks gives you white. Okay. Then say okay. So that gives you white. I'm actually going to go with my little greenish version myself. But any other questions, you guys?
No, but I'll show my example if you'd like.
I'd love that. Yeah, hopefully it's more colorful than mine. Go ahead and share.
You see it?
Not yet, no.
No, I did something wrong just a second. I thought it said share screen. Oh,
Share screen, then you
I
have
didn't
another
hit the
share.
button
Yeah, there you
share.
go. Yeah, the second share. All right, that's a playful logo, right?
That's cute.
And see how he picked up the colors from the top? The yellow is not a random yellow, the green is not a random green. It actually really works with the top. Okay, and he got a little playful font there. I didn't even change our font. Clearly not in the best frame of mind right now, but changing your font. When you have a toy company that there's so many playful fonts, that's a great idea. It's like a chalk drawing, chalk writing. Okay.
And then I put an inner glow on effect on the big logo.
Yeah. So this here, he had colored letters. What this is an inner glow. So as opposed to my drop shadow, which is an outside little shadow, an inner glow gives you like this, all the edges of the outline get filled with a little bit of white, and that's what he has there. Okay. Do you want to open up your effects and show the choices for that?
Sure. Oh,
Yeah,
that's
go to the
selected?
inner.
I needed it selected. It wasn't selected. Sorry.
Yeah, that's okay.
Effects.
He's just going from the menu instead of going from the bars on the side. Okay, but it's the same thing. And so this is his effect. Okay, and it's just showing you so it's kind of hard to see because it's a little bit small, but you over here he has the choice of what he's changing his inner glow. Can you point with your mouse up to where the drop shadow is? You're going to take it off, but what if you also wanted a drop shadow? Select the word drop shadow. Select the word drop shadow now. He turned it on. He turned it on, but you also need to select the word. There you go. Now all the tools are for drop shadow. So see how now he has a drop shadow added to that, and it's the basic big black flat one that you get at the beginning. Okay, but that's, you can have 2 or 3 different effects. Now he doesn't want it. You can just unclick the drop shadow. Okay, so how about you try adding, I don't know, what's that one? Graduate filter, and see how there's a filter that's kind of hiding half of the right side. So just showing you how you need to not only turn on the checkbox, but also select the word so that your choices on the right side change so that you can play around with those choices. Okay. All right. And now, cool. That's great. Thank you so much. Anyone else? Oh, you left this last effect on, which causes
I
you
put
to
satin
have like-
on. It looked good.
Okay, cool. All right. Anyone else? I would love to see
Can I
different
share
people's
mine?
cards. Yes,
would.
please. Please share, Isabel. Oh, I like all that funky stuff you did with it, with your logo. So you guys, do you see one thing that might be a problem here? It's really playful. Your logo, it's got colors. I have 2
The top
concerns.
might be out of the safe zone.
Yeah, there's 2 concerns I have with this card. By the way, when you share with me, I really appreciate it, but hopefully you're open to me giving you some pointers to make it a bit better. And the first thing is what Ed said, the top of your top, yeah, is exactly on the edge of the card, which means that it's kind of uncomfortable to watch. It's so on the line that if something gets cut wrong, you're going to cut into it, but not enough for it to be purposeful. Or you might have a little tiny line of blue, but again, it'll be looking like it's a little bit misplaced. So you got to be a bit more intentional. If you want to see the whole top, which seems to be what you have, then you need to move it down so that you see more, so that the whole top is in the safe zone. Or you make it bigger and you have enough out. Maybe it doesn't need to be as much as mine or Ed's, but you have enough out that then it's intentional. Even if you cut a millimeter more or less, it's intentional. Being right on the edge makes it be in danger of looking just wrong. And then another thing that's missing here, because when she showed the whole thing, there's another big problem here. I had said there were 2 problems, but now that she showed the frames, there's actually 3. So the first one was that it was too much to the edge. Who can see the other 2? One is an opinion and one is wrong. There's 2 more things, 2 more points I'd mention here. And hold on your space bar, and then you can hold the space bar down, and then you can hold your space bar down. You should get a little hand, and then click and drag your way down again. Hold the space bar and keep it held down. Okay. Trust me. Yes, there you go. Then you get your little hand, and then you can pull it down. Okay. So can anyone tell what's the thing that's actually wrong? Like wrong? Problematic wrong, not just opinion wrong?
All the letters are all mixed up.
Think about the file setup. Where's her bleed line? And is her bleed line covered with color? So can you point to your bleed line on the left? That it's on the gray. Move all the way to the left side. Left, left, left. Nope, left is the other way. Yeah, and keep going. See how you have gray there? And there's your bleed line, the red one. You don't have any color there. Your blue line is going to the cut line, to the trim line, your blue background. You see that? So that's wrong. Your bleed is empty. You don't have any space. So grab that background and move it to the left until it covers the bleed line. That's just the frame. That won't help. You need to grab the inner part of the background. So go and maybe use the little circle, like that little circle content. Yeah, click there. And then you actually need to click on the circle, like the donut ring part of it. Yeah, and now drag to the left. No. Touch that circle like you did. Not that one. That's for the logo. That's for the logo. Nope, that's the logo circle. Move over to, yeah, that one. Right there. And now click and drag to the left. Click and drag to the left. There you go. See how your color is now moving? And you need to move it a little bit more still. It's not completely to the edge. But when you do that, what we discover is that now your top is what was needing some coverage. So now bring it down. I mean, so now the bleed is covered on all 4 sides, but now what's missing is the fact that her top is touching the cut line. Can you see the top of her? Go to the point to the top of your top. The hold on the space bar and bring it down again. Hold on your space bar, space bar. There we go. Okay, so now go to the very top of your top, the one that's touching that line. Yeah, bit to the left. Like that place where the edge, that's not touching the line, it's that one. Yeah. See how that is, that blue line that's right there, that's put your arrow a little bit lower to where you begin to touch the top. There. That's the one that's a problem. Hit your W now. Hit your W key. See? That's the one that's the problem because that's where it's going to be cut. So that's what you need to bring down. Okay. Now, yeah, hit the space bar again and bring it down. Space bar. When you see the little hand, you can pull down. Okay. So that's where you need to bring it down. I don't know. Click. Okay. Click again and hold, go grab that little circle in the middle that lets you move your content and now pull down a bit. Okay. Now be careful because if you pull it too far down, now you might not have left enough for bleed. See how down there you got less bleed? Hit your W again and you'll see that your bleed got left without color. See how some of your bleed up there now has gray? So now move it up a little bit again. Or you might need to make the top a little bit bigger, right? Because you don't have the space. So click there so that when you hover, you get your little hand, that little circle, there you go. And now move it up a tad again. There you go. No, that's too much. You only need to cover. There you go. All you need to do is cover until there. So now can you guys see how her content is covering all the bleeds? Hit the W again. In fact, in the bottom, she has too much, but too much is not a problem. The printer will ignore it. It's too little that matters. Okay. And now she's got, do you have your bleed line covered? Yeah, your bleeds are covered. So good. Now hit your W and let's see the placement of your text. Now your text is a little bit close to your top and the bottom. So now hit the W again to see if you have any space left to bring it down. Hit the W. You still can bring it a little bit down again. Yeah. So no, hit the W because you need to see your margin before you bring that text down. Okay, click. And now bring it down a tad. And you can use your arrow keys to just go tap, tap, tap to bring it down a bit if you want. Or you can move it with your mouse. That's okay. So the bottom of the Y can touch the red line and that's about it. There you go. Maybe. There you go. So now when you click away, that's see how the top now won't get cut off. All right, cool. Thank you for letting us help you with those corrections. I probably would add some darkness behind the text, maybe with a little tiny drop shadow or something, because it seems like it might be a bit hard to read, but no, I think it looks fine. Colors are fine. All right.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Cool. I think Dylan, you said you would share yours
Yeah.
with
Yep.
your top logo, like top
Right.
shaped top logo.
Yep. Why not?
Cool.
All right.
All right. So what we're seeing here, let me, yeah, why don't you collapse your layers tab? There you
Yeah.
go. That way we can see it all. Perfect. All right. So you went with beigey, or so to say, color in the background.
Yeah.
And then you went with orange and red in your logo. And
Yep.
I think that orange in that background might be a little bit too similar. That said, you put a nice, not a nice, a big shadow. Nice doesn't mean anything in design.
Dark brownish shadow.
What's that? You put a shadow there.
Yeah.
So that separates it. Before the shadow, that probably would have been too similar in color. See what you guys mean? Not enough contrast, but with the shadow, that helps create that contrast that was missing. I have a concern that in the bottom where it says tiptaptoys.com, you have a box that's you have a color to your text box, and see how it's uneven.
Oh, yeah.
So click on that and go to your fill. Yeah. And then
Text.
the frame, no, the frame is what's filled right now. That's the problem. So now go up and say none. So go down to your colors and scroll up till you get none, and don't, there we go. Okay. Because but the text box is never evenly surrounding your text. So it's not a good place to put color. Okay. I still have a concern with your logo. Go ahead and make it small. Let me explain, not your logo per se, but with the color, bring it down to like what would be business card size. So you maybe bring it down to 100%. See how the top is, the shadow is so dark.
Right.
But I read tip, but I don't read top very well. What do you guys think? To me, there's not enough contrast between either the red and the shadow, right? So you added a shadow, which made the orange better, but it's too much for the top. So can you go into your drop shadow and maybe lighten up that drop shadow? And let's see if it still helps you without, okay, so maybe go to see the opacity there and bring it down a bit.
Oh, there we go. Is this better?
Yeah, and you know what I don't like? I was wondering why the color stood out. It looks like you have some green in that color. So if you click on the color you chose, see how it's a little
Oh,
bit greenish
It's a
brown?
little bit brownish.
Yeah, so go up to there where it says HSB color and change it to CMYK.
Yeah.
There you go. And then now you have I would, or there where it says magenta, I would
Yeah.
move it a little bit more to the right to take some of that green out of it. There we go. It had like a green cast, a little green
Right.
shadow.
Right.
And I would even take the top where it says cyan and move it a
Yeah.
little bit to the left. Let's see. The color gets a bit cleaner brown. I like that better. It's more subtle, see? But
Oh, yeah.
anyway, that's just a choice. So, you know, that's completely subjective. But I didn't like seeing that kind of green cast in the shadow, and neutral color is a bit better. All right, cool.
All right.
There you go. And if you want to see the before and after, you can always just do Command Z to see the before and then redo to see the after. If you want to click away so we don't have that box around the logo. And then bring it one more down to the size that one more there. So that would be about business size for our visual. And
Yeah.
now a little bit concerned that now the tip doesn't read. It's kind of hard because you have this logo where it's so
yeah.
similar to the color of the background that
Right.
now you see top, but now you stop seeing tip, whereas before you saw tip, but not top.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I just think that you need to maybe just work with, like, change the background in your Photoshop, make your background in your Photoshop lighter or darker. There's just too much similarity between the orange. So I fixed your top, but now your
Right.
tip is where, right? So because the problem with colors is that unless you go neutral, you end up having to play around with your background. So maybe you go in and change the Photoshop background, or you change your logo orange, you know, to some other color that really contrasts, because by choosing that orange with that background, that's not really a very good combo. Okay. Or you can make a less spread out shadow. That might help too, to give a bit more definition to the letters. If your drop shadow isn't so spread out, but it's actually helping you look at the tab itself. So anyway, so here he's going to go into his Photoshop. So see, he'd chosen the links, his Photoshop,
Yeah.
and he's going to go and edit it. Is this your second page or your first page?
First one, I believe.
All right. So now he's opening Photoshop, which we're not seeing because he didn't share the Photoshop change.
Oh.
But that's fine. You can go and change your color, and then after you change it, you can do a.
And then I just go the color fill.
Yeah, we don't see your Photoshop, so I can't.
Oh.
You're only sharing your InDesign screen. Okay, any other,
Photoshop.
what's up?
You can see my Photoshop.
No.
Oh.
So you have to go up to your share again, say new share.
Oh, all right.
Say
Oh,
new share, and then share we're only seeing your InDesign screen. You can share both InDesign and Photoshop by clicking. There we go. I've never seen Photoshop. Okay,
Yeah.
so now you can go to the color fill and play around with that.
And then, but where?
Double click on down. Okay, go to layers again. Go to the layer that has the color fill. Go down to the layer that has the color fill. Down to the layers. Layers. Yeah.
That.
Okay, go click on that little color that you use for your color fill, which is the top layer. Not there.
It's the top one now.
Yeah, and double click there. There you go. And now play around and either go lighter or darker. But if you go more orange, your logo is still not going to work, right? So if you don't want to change your logo, you need to change your background to something that contrasts with red and orange.
Oh, let's see.
That's still not, none of those colors is going to work with red and orange. You might need to go into a different gamut. Blues, make it like a light blue or something, or a green. Yeah. Does that make sense, you guys? What he's doing? You're just trying, because he chose the logos. He likes his logo red and orange. Great. Then you need to put it on a different background. So definitely red and orange is going to work with green. You might want to go a bit lighter because the tone of your red and orange is very similar to the tone of green that he has. So that would work now probably. So let's say and go ahead and say, okay, save.
All right, save.
The moment you save, now go back to InDesign. And there you go. It's already changed. Pretty cool. Now it's not working. Now it's not working.
Oh, it isn't?
No. Now it's working, but what is not working now?
Oh, the
You-
text box.
Yeah, that box. So now maybe you need
Yeah.
to change the color of that box, right? Because
Right.
now it's the same color of his background. But hey,
Right.
see how easy it is to move, and he could have gone in and modified the color of his logo. Instead, he modified the color of his Photoshop. It's all
Right.
accessible from InDesign. You can go back in there. So perfect. Now that color is just like one of the colors of the top.
Right.
And there you go. Much better.
Yeah.
Now, I kind of say the only other thing I don't, I think you might work on is the fact that you have your top, your letters, your text. Is it at the edge of your safe zone of your margin right now? Go ahead and hit the W. Looks like you pretty much, one more tip, but not much more.
Yeah.
So then you need to make that box bigger. Oh,
Bigger.
your bleed box on the top, maybe
yeah.
make it a little bit bigger.
Oh, you
Where's
mean?
your, I'm looking at your bleed.
Oh, the red line. Oh well. The
No,
image.
you have, your bleed is weird.
Oh, I think that's because
Your bleed is not the regular bleed size. You have a bigger bleed box, don't you?
uh,
Let's go to your setup. Go up to File, Setup,
all right.
File, and then actually you could probably go to Edit. So go all the way to File, Edit, and then no, Layout. Trying to
layout.
remember where. Let me see where to go up to Layout. Trying to find which one has there. So go to Pages. No.
Oh,
They changed that. In mine, it's under File. Document preset. So go back to File
all right.
and go down to Document Setup. Down.
Got
Yeah.
it.
Document Setup. Let's look at your. No, your margins are 0.125. Let's open your bleed and slug. That's where I'm seeing a bit of a problem. Down to the bottom, open that one up. 0.125. No, it's fine.
And what does the slug mean?
Say okay to that. Say okay to that. The slug is where you might put instructions to the printer. So give me a second here while I from afar. I'm requesting remote control. Do you see a sin that's, can you say yes to that? You might
Yeah.
need to go back into your system preferences.
Oh,
If so, just type in your, unlock it, type in your password, and then and then click next to the word Zoom.
should I do approve?
Say approve, but it might send you yes. So say open system preferences. No, don't say deny.
yeah.
Open
Oh,
system
yeah.
preferences.
Uh,
Unlock by clicking the lock on the bottom and
Right.
put in your password. Unlock. And then in the middle, scroll down. No, don't change that. Go into the middle and scroll down. Go to the middle, the box on the right, the box on the right.
Oh, on the
Yeah,
right.
and now scroll all the way to the bottom and you'll see Zoom. There, click on Zoom. Okay, great. Good. Now now don't move your mouse and
Oh,
I've got your screen going. So I'm
Oh.
looking, if this is your
Right.
cut line. See, what got confusing for me is that if this is your cut line, I'm putting my mouse right on your cut or trim line, you haven't filled your bleed.
Huh.
See that?
Right.
Your
I-
bleed on the top, which is this red line. You filled
Right.
it on the bottom and you passed it, and here you passed it, but here and here you don't have it. This is just a frame that you extended, but really that's
yeah.
see what I mean? This is just a
Yeah,
frame that goes up. But if you move your frame all the way to there, you're fine. You've got color. But when you, whoops, I didn't mean to do that. But when you move your frame all the way up to bleed, you don't have enough background. See that? So
Right.
you can either make this whole thing bigger, or you have to go into Photoshop and create a bigger bottom background. And since they have a little bit of time and I haven't done that, and a few of you guys might be in this trouble, if you see this red line here and there's a gray in between that red line and your color,
Mhm.
see, if I put my mouse here and say W, his color goes only to the trim line. He doesn't have his bleed covered.
Right.
This is really important. This is of all the things I've been teaching you, but I really want you guys to know. Okay. So what we mainly need to do is either make the photo bigger, which if he already likes where his photo is, he might not want to do that,
Right.
or go into Photoshop and make his canvas in Photoshop bigger. So let's go to Photoshop. Here we have Photoshop here in the background. And let me show you guys how to change the canvas size. We don't want to extend it. Basically his canvas size right now, if we look at the image size, I'm gonna just show you guys this, but an image size, it's, oh, you have more.
Huh. That's weird.
Okay, no, you have more space.
Right.
No, but I see, oh no, I remember because we just brought it in not to the right size. Okay, so you still need to make it bigger on the top left proportionally, or you only using this much. So we
Right.
still need to add more space here and there. So you
Right.
go up, I'm gonna let you do it. Go up to image,
All right. Image size.
canvas size. We're not changing the image size, we're just adding canvas. And
Alright.
we want to add canvas to the top and to the left of your screen. We want to add a bit more where your bleed is missing. So yeah, there we go. So we're going to add things. It's the opposite of where you have it. If you click where you clicked, you're going to add to the right and to the bottom. And we need to go the other way around. So that bottom one.
Oh, this one.
Yeah. So now we're going to add things to the top and to the left. Let's change from pixels to inches so that we can understand the numbers. And what I'm going to do is to the width. So this is 6.4. So let's just give it another probably half an inch is more than enough. So you can go ahead and say add half an inch in numbers, or what you can do is go to relative and only add what you want to add. So here you'd have to calculate, but here you can just say, I want to add a half an inch to the top and a half an inch to the bottom. So say 0.5.
5.
0.5, hopefully that's enough. And then say, okay. So see how he added space to the top and the
Right.
left side? All right, so now to fill that up, you probably need to do a content fill. So
So,
we're gonna select all these empty areas, okay? And overlap a little bit with the fill, yeah, like what you did.
yeah.
So go ahead and get your selection tool
All right.
up there, yeah. And now select, yeah, from, no, the empty area. From
Oh,
there, and all the way to the right side, all the way to the right, and then overlap a bit with your green. A little bit, maybe a tad more. Yeah, okay, that's enough. That's okay. And we don't want to get near the top, but that seems to be
Yeah.
fine.
Right.
Now hold down your shift key
All right.
and select again the left side of your screen. That way both get selected. Now all the way down to the bottom and overlap a bit with the green. Okay. And we're going to make this contact fill be in a new layer. So go down and make this be a new layer. Yeah, click your click.
New
Yeah.
layer.
Yeah. And then go up to edit,
All right.
fill,
Fill.
content to where fill. Oh, no, back up, say cancel. There's I mean, you could go content to where fill, but right underneath fill, stroke and content to where fill. One more, no, cancel. Under stroke, that's fine. One
Content
more
to where
there,
fill.
content to where fill. You could have done it with the fill.
Oh,
You know what? We actually don't need that. Say cancel to this. It's easier to just fill. Say cancel to that at the very, very bottom.
bottom. Oh, here we go.
Yeah, it's easier to just go because we don't have time. Go up to edit and go to the top one, to the fill.
Oh,
And over here, let's say content to where, which is
Yeah.
fine. And now say, okay.
oh, could not fill. No.
Oh, because you didn't select. Okay, say okay to that. So that you're in your new layer and there's no pixels there. You need to select your layer 0. That's where the pixels are. No, not shift, but select your layer 0.
All right. Now let's see if it can fill again.
Yeah,
Uh,
content aware fill. All right.
Okay.
Perfect. Now, I know it doesn't look perfect to you guys, but it is perfect. It's just that now his color fill isn't, his mask for color fill isn't covering that. So go up to your
Right.
color fill 2 layers up, click
Yeah.
on that mask. Yeah, click on the mask itself, which is the right side is the mask. The right
Yeah.
side, right
Oh,
side,
that's
that's
it.
your mask. Yeah. What?
Right.
Oh, because you double clicked. Go ahead and yeah, hit escape. You don't want, you double click inside, so hit escape. It won't let you, it's gonna have you choose, huh? So just say enter and select Mac. Enter select. No, we didn't want to enter select the mask. Let's say cancel. Okay, now just hit your hit your X key for a second. One time. I'm trying to switch to the background. Okay, now hit your delete key. Okay, cool. So we just filled in that mask with white. Okay. And now you're ready. Now you can say save.
All right. Oh.
Just say file save. And now go back to InDesign.
All right. And then.
And now double click to update.
Oops.
Okay. No, it's fine. It's just that now you have to modify. So now you have to grab your content, which is go to that little round donut, the content holder.
Oh, that's.
No, in the middle, the one that I was telling Isabella, you could put
Oh,
your mouse
that.
into the middle
Oh, that.
and now drag. Wait, you have to first
Oh, yeah.
hover over it until it appears. Yeah, there you go. Now keep moving up a little bit more. See how you have enough fill now?
Yep.
And now you have enough space that maybe you can move even higher to see more of your top, you know, because we put
yeah.
too much in. There you go.
There we go.
So we just created more background for him in that Photoshop, okay? We just
Right.
expanded the size of his canvas and
Right.
gave him space to be able to now center the top wherever he really wants it. Okay, so anyone who felt like their top didn't have enough space, top and bottom, that was the way to do it. And if you need to go to the recording to view that, that'll be good. We basically went into Photoshop and you're back into Photoshop again.
Yep.
And we added canvas. So go back to Photoshop for a second here. So all of this that's selected didn't exist before. We added that by adding canvas.
Right.
And then we filled it with content aware fill. So it filled with the same background that we had.
Done.
Okay.
Done it.
And then I had to go in and this is the thing that made it from brown to green. And I had to go in and fix that mask a little bit. All right. So there you go. Now he's got it all looking good. Perfect. I'm going to stop your share. All right. So you guys, what we saw right there was putting together the parts and pieces, the text in InDesign, the Photoshop from Photoshop to Illustrator, and then going back into Illustrator to change things or into Photoshop to change it, all from InDesign, right? Just have them all linked, but each one is being built in its own program. And it's all live until you're done. Next class, we're gonna work on the end product. So what do you do with this? How do you where does it go? If you want to print it, if some of this is going to go online, if this is going to go what's the final file, packaging, font, and all that kind of stuff. All right. We're also going to have some time, I hope, to work on some bigger InDesign documents with some more text and stuff so that you can see a bit more of InDesign. All right. Show and tell for anyone who wants to show next week. Show me, those of you who didn't show today, please show me your cards next week when class starts. Okay, so keep working on them. Maybe make variations on your business card, 2 or 3 different logos, different colors of background. Many times, you know how people have, like right now, I have in front of me this one woman who has like 3 different, I picked 2 or 3 different ones for her art. You don't have to stick with one, but they're all like, in sync and it's prettier. All right, guys, got a class starting in 13 minutes.
Feel better?
So much.
Thank
Feel
you so
better.
much. I'm just noticing that my fever is gone, so I'm already much better. That ibuprofen helped.
That's good.
See you guys next week.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.